billion shillings. Members of Parliament said, no, if you touch this one, CDF, NGAF, fuel levy, what?
Man, they went to town. They really went to town on this one.
Until people started insulting each other and say the only sober house in this country is the Senate.
Hey,
crazy.
The Senate Finance and Budget Committee says there's no way counties would only get an increase of 5.6 billion equitable share, whereas they had non-discretionary financial obligations adding to more than 34 billion shillings. The committee chairperson is the Senator for Mandera, Ali Roba. He's been a two-term governor of that county. He defended their stand, saying the county governments will inherit on their payroll some 4 billion shillings in housing levy, 3 billion shillings in enhanced national NSSF contributions, 5.3 billion shillings for county aggregation and industrial parks. Only just by having the housing levy tax. What then the counties need to pay for their employees just to pay for housing levy, 4 billion.
Yes.
You're adding 5 billion for all.
Yes.
4 billion shillings is going to housing levy. How much is going to NSSF because of increased NSSF contributions? 3 billion shillings. How much is going because now we have all the county aggregation industrial parks, KIPES? 5.3 billion shillings that we are required to contribute to KIPES.
12 billion.
Already. He continued. Further, the counties will also cater for community health promoters to the tune of 3.3 billion shillings. 5.6 billion for medical equipment services, 2.85 billion shillings towards the integrated payroll and personnel database. There's also 5.8 billion to cater for the doctors' collective bargaining agreement. However, the National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee rejected this, saying, these counties, So basically, what Ali Roba is saying is all those things that we've talked about, they are over 34 billion shillings. Just the extra.
And then you're giving us 5 billion to share.
Giving us 5 billion extra.
Explain to us this logic.
That means that we are basically going to operate with less money.
Yes.
Just as we start. We can't do the KIPES. We have, You
actually can't do very much.
You can't do much. So this is just going to be it's a messy thing. And somebody was arguing that the reason why Dende Nyoro, Kimani, Shongwa and the others stood up and they went on the line of CDF is from what we saw with the MP from Muranga when she was speaking about the finance bill, saying that thing is just too big. MPs are busy, can't read that thing.
Don't understand.
So they know their members. They know these guys, if we come in here and with Kizungu Mingi, we'll lose them. They'll be like, you give the counties more money, what's the problem? But if we tell them we're touching your CDF, they'll be like, No.
Never.
And
then giving who?
I say, no, never. CDF
can never be us.
No.
Then we approve.
No.
Our thing that you want to remove.
That's why Ndende and Kimani Shongwa went with that line. Ati, these governors want to come for your CDF. But if you vote to accept what the Senate is saying, the Senate is removing CDF from your pocket, it's removing NGAF from your pocket, and it's giving it to governors. So basically you and the senators will on the ground be the same. So you cannot really out-campaign the other. You can't go because you want to be governor next time and say, you see me, the development I've brought here.
How will you say?
Because you have no CDF. So
shut that thing down, man.
MPs are like, hiyo unajua kitu tusomewe tuambie tuambie
wewe
so wakabio.
But you know what is interesting?
CDF.
For purpose of expediency, you can say such things and temperatures are raised and blood pressure goes through the roof.
Yeah.
When it comes down and people examine the reality, they ask, but what was that you're saying exactly? Okay, this thing you said, at what point does it
touch?
Does it touch these things that you're saying, really?
Yeah.
Because it will be questioned.
Yeah.
You see? If lay people like ourselves can look at it and say, friends, come on, man.
Surely.
No. A little honesty sometimes necessary. We understand politics, yes. And we understand the levels to which our politics has sunk. But surely, there are certain things which are even, forget being below ground level.
Surely.
They're almost below sea level.
Speaking of sea level and beyond, how Ruto is reliving Uhuru's pain? Is it? President William Ruto is reliving his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta's pain. Oh no. At the height of the 2022 general election campaigns, a frustrated Uhuru publicly complained about how his deputy was forever campaigning and even dared him to resign, declaring he was no longer discharging his roles. Kama hutaki kufanya kazi, fanya nini?
Fanya kazi, wenda. Sema.
During this year's Labour Day, President Ruto took a swipe at some unnamed leaders who he accused of looking for popularity instead of serving the people. And I quote, "And we must be brutally honest with one another. There is no need to lie to each other. There is no need to look for popularity because those of us who were elected as leaders were not elected to be popular, but to serve and transform our country and to work for those who elected us."
Who said that?
President
Ruto.
William Ruto.
Ruto.
I'm telling you.
Wait, start again.
What goes around does what?
Ruto said that.
Yes,
start
please.
again.
I start again.
Yes, please.
I quote.
Yes.
"And we must be brutally honest with one another. There is no need to lie to each other. There is no need to look for popularity because those of us who were elected as leaders were not elected to be popular, but to serve and transform our country and to work for those who elected us." Je continue. "I find a lot of leaders spending so much time trying to be popular. When will you have time to work for the people who elected you if all the time you focus attention and energy is on how to continue being popular? Leadership and the transformation of the country is not going to happen if we don't focus on why we were elected." I'm telling you, it's William Ruto who said this. Ironically, it was during the same celebrations in 2022 when Uhuru made similar remarks at this same Nyayo National Stadium, accusing Ruto of seeking popularity by blaming his own administration for country's problems. The president lamented that his deputy ought to be assisting him to solve the problems afflicting the people instead of blaming the government over the high cost of living, amongst other issues.
My friend, what goes around?
It comes around, and when it comes around, it comes with a blow.
Yes, it does. And
Well, but both people expected these things to happen in their time. Yeah, I mean.
there's an element of magic thinking among politicians. And at some of the back of their mind, they feel they're different.
Yeah, it will not, cannot happen to me. After all, I'm me.
They're different. And then you arrive, then you realize, why? You mean this is it?
Plus ça change.
Plus la même
Yeah,
chose.
Exactly.
Shows. But no. I mean, I'm sure the leaders that President Ruto was referring to are actually not tangatangaing. They are inspecting government projects.
Oh, this time around.
They are making sure that ile kazi ambayo Mdosi amenipatia inafanyika hapa chini. Si mimi niko hapa. Si Mdosi amenituma. Mimi niko hapa.
Tunafanya
mimi
kazi.
na Mdosi wangu tuko pamoja.
Okay.
Mimi na Mdosi wangu hatujakosana. Mimi sijagombana na Mdosi wangu.
Okay.
Niko hapa kukagua miradi ya serikali hii yetu. Manake tunafanya big four. Manake tunafanya bottom up economic transformation agenda ambayo inasema lazima tuwe vijana wapate nafasi za ajira.
Na wamama
Tuwe na afya njema kwa Kenya mzima. Tufanye mambo ya housing. Hii housing
na
yote.
watoto waende shule.
Watoto wetu waende shule. Na wamama wetu mahasla wafanye kazi, na hiyo ndio maana niko hapa kwa
wapate
ground.
pesa kidogo ya biashara.
Hata Mdosi anajua mimi ni kazi nafanya. 7 a.m. news time.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Kenya must develop a tea brand that will fetch the best prices for farmers. This is according to President William Ruto. The president said Kenya's tea should be branded to increase its visibility in the global market and labeling it with a mark of origin. Saying Kenya's tea industry is a significant contributor to the economy, the president pointed out that brand sustainability is a very crucial in competitive business environment.
We need a strategy on how to package, first even to grow, to manufacture, to package, to sell, to brand our tea so that we get the right value. We are the third largest producer of tea in the world, and yet there is no Kenyan tea brand. It is unforgivable. We cannot be producers of that magnitude, and nobody knows. If you go outside Kenya, you will find no market, you will find no supermarket that sells Kenyan tea. So Kenyan tea is sold, in all manner of brands except a Kenyan brand.
And the president has made 2 new appointments to the executive following the approval of the Public Service Commission. According to Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service Felix Koskei, the fresh appointments are set to augment Kenya and President Ruto's regional as well as continental outreach. The head of state appointed Ambassador Lazarus Amayo as the special envoy of the African Union Chairmanship for Institutional Reforms and named former Amani National Congress Party Secretary General Simon Gikuru as the State House Deputy Comptroller. The government has brought to 10 security and modern vehicles to help in the operation against criminals in the country. Receiving the vehicles at the port of Mombasa, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki says that the vehicles will be used in an operation against Al-Shabaab terrorists in Lamu County, northeastern and North Rift regions. According to Kindiki, those areas have witnessed insecurity contributed by Al-Shabaab and bandits. Kindiki has pointed out that the government has invested 37 billion shillings to buy modern equipment to deal with insecurity in the country.
Those boys were causing us and our people pain in the Boni Enclave. Those organized groups in the name of bandits and cattle rustlers that have hurt our people for a very long time in North Rift and in upper eastern counties of Marsabit and Isiolo. This is it. We have decided this time round we just have to get this right and right once and for all.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has recovered assets worth 3.8 billion shillings in concerted efforts to pin down corrupt individuals. While unveiling the 2022-2023 report on the Commission's achievements, EACC said it is going for another tranche of asset recovery amounting to over 8 billion shillings. The Anti-Corruption Board, he said, despite hurdles in its pursuit of corruption cartels, it has made strides in the past 1 year. Here is EACC Chairperson Bishop David Oginde.
So I would also want to encourage the leaders of these institutions, and not just the ones that we are working with, but all that were named in this list, that if they can take this seriously and do something about mitigating the incidences of corruption with their institutions, I believe that we can be a better nation and get so much further.
5 forestry officers continue to be detained after being arrested yesterday in Majimazuri, Baringo County for allegedly being involved in the death of Stephen Mwangi, a 19-year-old man. It is reported that Mwangi had gone to Majimazuri Forestry Center to pay 2,000 shillings fine that his mother had been fined for splitting firewood in the forest area. Mwangi's father, John Ambuka, says his son found the 5 officers abusing and mishandling his mother, and in the process of rescuing her, they brutally attacked him. Mwangi was seriously injured in the head and ribs, which led to his death while being treated at the Boy Teaching and Referral Hospital.
Nakuuliza tu haki ya mama yake. Kwa nini nataka kupiga mama yangu na mnatoa pesa? Hapo tu nilitokea mtoto wangu akaanza kumpiga. Mimi sikuwa na kuweza kuulizia mtoto wangu. Ndio wawili walikuwa wamenizingira na bunduki. Wakaanza kuchapa marisasi juu. Na risasi ya 3 mimi ndio nilikuwa napata.
Alipigwa kinyama. Maana kichwa hakuwa anaongea, aliinuliwa na wanaume 6. Hakuwa anajipendua ama kutenda chochote, hakujijua. Kwa siku ambazo ameishi,
sisi tunafanya kazi yetu vizuri bila kupendelea mtu yoyote, na tutahakikisha haki imetendeka na wenyewe watajionea, maana hao watu wako sahi kwa sel pale Eldama Ravine.
We only hope that the family of Mr. John Ambuka gets to have the justice against their son Stephen Mwangi. This is News. I'm Dennis Aseda. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
A few minutes after 7 o'clock, what does it look like where you are this morning? There's traffic coming in, and it's coming in heavy on the Thika Superhighway, and that is just at Survey. But as you come in from that junction, coming in from Outer Ring, it's heavy through towards the Pangani Tunnel, and also starting to build up on Kiambu Road. We're seeing traffic there. It's going to take you right round through towards Muthaiga Square. It's building up on Limuru Road, coming in from Kitisuru all the way to City Park, and that continues through into the CBD, touching on Ngara. Some of it's also starting to build up on Waiaki Way, so we're seeing a movement of traffic, but nothing too terrible at the moment. It's busy on Jogo Road, heading out towards Landis, and then as you get onto Haile Selassie, we'll see some movement continuing. All right, Kangundo Road started early, trying to touch on Outer Ring, and let's take a look at the Eastern Bypass, then coming in through towards Outer Ring at that junction. Traffic coming in from Cabanas North Airport Road, touching on Southfield, and then heading out is also starting to build up this morning. Let's see what happens as we come into traffic hour. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 7. Good morning, and how are you doing? Welcome to Wednesday, the 15th day of May 2024. It's a day when fuel prices have dropped. It's a shilling cheaper, at least.
Right.
Right? For super petrol, diesel, mafuta taa, at least. Even 30 cents is something. What?
Any reduction is welcome.
What? Now economy. Welcome to the Republic of Kenya. Well, if anybody else who can come and visit Kenya, we see very many managers of the English Premier League coming to chill in this country.
Okay,
one man that should never be allowed to come here is Pep Guardiola.
What happened again?
Bro, chafu.
Who is this person?
Pep Guardiola claims to be, well, he's a manager, a successful manager at that, in Manchester City. Okay? Remember last night, Manchester City was playing with Tottenham Hotspur.
Yes.
Even the manager for Tottenham, but forget about it. So City beats Tottenham 2-0.
Yes, they did.
So it gives them a 2-point lead atop the English Premier League table.
I see where this is going.
And it only means that one other team, Gunners, have to
So the only other
fight a little
team,
bit harder.
yeah. Now Pep Guardiola has won this thing. So he has won it in Spain. He has won it in Germany. He has won it in England. He has won. Haizi achia mtu kamoja.
That's your problem now.
So you know the team is supports.
Of course, we know now.
This guy should never be allowed to visit Kelly. All other managers can come. We don't want his euros, his pounds, whatever. He's coming to
You sounded a little bit salty.
completely. Anyway, if you'd like to watch the English Premier League, this is the final week of the season. Yesterday there was that game. Those who were watching it, 500 shillings on showmax.com, or you can just download the Showmax app wherever you are. You can watch a repeat of the silly game.
Enthralling match.
And then you can watch the final match of the season on Sunday. All matches will be played on Sunday, final matches. And then there's some matches that are going on today. Manu is playing tonight. Against who?
Tell us.
Yeah?
Tell us.
I'm not telling you.
What's wrong?
Arsenal is playing Everton on Sunday.
That's all you're interested in.
Yeah.
You're being told to focus on the important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those other things don't matter.
Yeah.
Is what he's saying.
Anything before Sunday.
It's not important.
Not important.
It's not important. Yeah. Anyway, so showmax.com is where you get to watch all these things on whatever platform you want to watch it on. This could be whatever. It could be on your TV. It could be on your mobile devices. It could be on your laptop or computer. It could be on whatever, Just register. 500 shillings. You can watch the EPL live. Huh?
Yep.
Hiya. Kerry has a message for everybody else.
Yes.
Please pass on that message.
Have you registered for e-teams? So you know what it means essentially. Is that all your purchases and all your expenditure then has to be on this one portal that allows us to make sure that we have access to your doings business. Why is that important? Because KRA has been tasked with a mandate to make sure that everything then is collected and that, as much as needs to go to Caesar actually goes to the good old chap, right? So What do you need to do? If you're in business, or even if it's just you, make sure that all your invoices and all of your receipts, everything that you do is logged in onto this platform. It's an upgraded platform and it is totally online, so you do not need a new gadget. You do not need to then buy some swanky gadget to have this done. You just need to get online, you sign up, you register, and then you start to input all of your information, so that at the end of the period, then KRA can say, okay, yeah, fancy, you've been doing all that you needed to do. Do you need a relief here? Are you supposed to pay? Did you not pay? Can we look at your transactions and make sure that everything is okay? That is what we're asking you to do with eTeams. So get onto it today. It's eteams.kra.go.ke. Get on there, log in, and get into it. KRA says, okay, we need you to do this. We don't want to have to squeeze you here and there to do it, but it actually puts things in order. So KRA is saying, let's put things in order with eTeams.
Indeed, indeed. Now, we have two guests who've joined us in the studio. Mike Kipkorir Beale is the founder and CEO of Verb Education, and Martha Mbuvi is the coordinator of Akose Achekwe. No, it's not that. It is AACOSE, and she'll tell us what this is all about. She's the coordinator of the organizing committee for the Akose 2021 to 2024. Martha, Mike, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the hot seat of Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you.
What is Akose?
Akose is Africa annual Africa Conference on Social Entrepreneurship. Yeah.
African Annual Conference on Social Entrepreneurship. And that's why we're here to discuss the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Africa and building a network to accelerate the social entrepreneurship in Africa. Karibuni sana. You'll tell us, Mike, about Verb Education, but first, let us hear the day's proverb. City, welcome our guests with the day's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the Republic of Malawi. Okay, since these guests of ours understand many things that other people don't understand.
In fact, they're organizing an African conference.
They're organizing very many things. So Malawi is part of these many things as it's in the continent.
Yes.
Let me ask you, do you have any idea what the name of the president of this country is? Any of you can respond.
Samoei Arap Ruto.
Not this one.
No, you're right. Okay. No, you're right.
When you asked the question, you answered correctly.
The president of Kenya is called Dr.
Yeah.
William. Okay? That one we've gotten. President of Malawi.
No idea right now.
Hint, he's also doctor.
Yes, he's also Doctor.
His first name is one who was risen from the dead after 4 days.
For those of you who read the Bible.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
And don't say Jesus, because Jesus did it in 3 days.
Yeah.
All right, his name is...
Master, if you were here,
my brother.
Would not have died.
Sunday school.
Lazarus.
Yes.
Mike ni mtu wa kanisa.
No. Unajua zile kanisa watu wanaendaga Monday.
Mike got it. Lazarus.
It's called Lazarus Chakwera. Okay. Yes, Chakwera. Yes. Malawi is an interesting country, a lovely country. You must visit sometime. I'm saying this because I haven't visited it, and I hope to visit it sometime. It is only when the flood is gone that you can claim to be lucky.
It is only when the flood is gone that you can claim to be lucky.
Yes.
Mike, because you got the name right, you get dibs on this.
Chance, yeah. I think it's... You will then discover what it has brought or what it has taken. So, the flood can bring something or it can take something. So, I think it depends.
Martha?
Yeah.
Interestingly, Martha was Lazarus' brother. Anyway.
Yes, sister to Lazarus, yeah. Yes. I think I agree with Mike. It's what the flood can bring forth, good things and also bad things. So it is what it takes from you and also what it brings. Okay. And most of the times we look at floods negatively, like what we had, the physical floods.
Yeah.
But then, because we are referring to the Bible, we talk of floodgates of heaven. That's a positive thing. Thank you.
Okay. Right.
You have redeemed yourself, my friend. Well done.
There is a Monday and a Friday.
All right. So, Mike, what is verb education?
Yep. So verb, V-E-R-B, noun, verb, adjective. So that verb, the doing word. So we are very much focused on educators, those who deliver education. And our premise is simple. We start from a very simple premise. Let me use myself as an example. I want to take my children to the nearest school and not necessarily the most expensive one. So what does this mean? It means I would like the nearest school to be the best school possible for my kids, and I want this for everyone else. How do we achieve this ideal of the nearest school being the best school? It's by doing things to improve all the schools. And we improve schools in so many ways. Some people build classrooms, some people pay school fees, all those things. Some people pay teachers. I saw some striking. Okay. So we have chosen to focus on the teachers and the school administrators, especially around reducing workload and then making it very easy for them to use the data that they've generated out of using now the systems we provide to really gain insights. So let me give you an example. We have an app called CBC app. So CBC app, CBC app. And what this app does, it's used by teachers and school administrators to really simplify processes of assessment and assessment record keeping, which under CBC is significantly more strenuous than the previous system that we had. So when teachers use it, it really reduces their work from hours to minutes. So higher quality of life. Teachers have weekends and very basic things like those. Then from there, we gain a lot of insights into how learning is happening. You see, like this year, we will not have a mean score at the end, a KCP mean score. You will not be seeing school buses with leaves, and people celebrating and all that stuff, because that benchmark is no longer there. So how do schools gauge themselves? So we, for example, are now able to give schools, through the data they keep, the ability to compare the classroom assessments, the assessments that happen every day, versus what happens at the end of the term. And those differences can really enable school administrators to figure out which teacher needs help and how can we do this. So we're having an impact mainly in the space of just productivity for the teachers, as well as now the kind of data and insights that they gain from it. So that's what we do mainly.
You do this for profit?
Yes, we are a company that does it for profit. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So your client is the school?
Correct.
It's not this. It's not the student.
No, our client is the school.
It's the school.
Yes.
So is this an example of a social enterprise?
Yes, it is.
So how?
So we are trying to solve a very big problem in the education sector, which really affects all our schools, public and private. And among the private schools, I really want us to think of the low-cost private schools as a very important component. Actually, they're the majority of the private schools. And they serve a purpose which even public schools do serve in many parts of our country. So this is an example of a social enterprise because we are really targeting a problem affecting the majority, and the service is offered at a price point that is accessible to the majority, and we are seeing it make a difference in the simplest school with school fees of 7,500 per term, all the way to the most expensive kind of schools. So we and it's also built specifically for our teachers. You see the way our teachers are prepared in college, and the kind of practice they have every day, and the kind of circumstances they have to deal with. It delivers the national curriculum and all those things. So it's very much tailored for the majority.
For the majority.
Yeah.
Then Martha, if we go with that, anybody who's running a business can claim to be a social enterprise. They're looking at the mass market, so they're dealing with the majority. It's benefiting everybody. So can it be called a social enterprise? How would we properly define a social enterprise?
A social enterprise is one that has impact in our community. Like, look at what Mike is doing. Quality, in terms of how do the teachers in CBC, how do they enhance their, even their reference materials, how do they enhance the quality of the documents they use in the classroom? So it has to have an impact. So not everything is a social enterprise. It has to have an impact in the community, either in terms of environmental sustainability or just influencing the community in a positive way. In fact, we say that social enterprises are those that have a positive change in our community. So it's not about the profits that they make, because profits are there to sustain the business. But after that, what impact does that enterprise have in the community? Are we involved in... And let me say something. It's not CSR. This is very different from CSR. It's the positive change that we can have from the business model. So the main objective of the business from the onset, by default, is how you can impact the community. So it can be in terms of poverty eradication, what we call the 3-0 concepts, where we have zero carbon emission, zero unemployment, and also we are talking about youth empowerment, mitigating inequalities in the community, and just empowering the people. So it must have an impact which we can actually measure. We can measure.
Okay.
How many people have gained employment from the business model?
Okay.
So those are some of the matrices that we use to measure so what social enterprises are.
Okay, span in the works. Nowadays, it's a common thing now that every company is required to have this ESG and even report on ESG. That's environment, social, and governance. Social aspect. Look at what's the impact of this business in the community. How much is it benefiting the community? How many people is it employing? The diversity, inclusion. Is it considering all those things? Then are we saying that we're pushing more and more businesses to become social enterprises?
Yeah, in a way, because we are a value-based society, and social entrepreneurship has a lot of value. We emphasize on values, because if I just start a business to make money, make a profit, and I'm not so bothered about my neighbor, then that's not social entrepreneurship. Because in Africa, and especially in Africa, we have the concept of Utu in East Africa, and in Africa we talk of Ubuntu. So what is Ubuntu? What is Utu? I am because you are, or we are because I am. So there's that nexus between how much am I influencing the people around me. So I think because as a community, we are geared towards a value-based system, even our education system, which is CBC. If you look at it, we have the core values. And that's what we are telling our children from the onset, from when they are in PP1 and PP2, that it's a value-based education. So now, because of that, if we go by what you're saying, then we are a community that's geared towards social entrepreneurship.
Let me ask this question. If I'm to go by your definition, a company like Microsoft, would you call it a social enterprise? Because its impact on societies are profound.
Okay.
Yeah, I can answer that. You see, the social enterprise tag, I'm keen to call it a tag. The social enterprise tag is used by some companies for some purposes, and it helps them advance some
their business,
some either awareness or an agenda and things like those. But the whole concept of social enterprises, there are those social enterprises which at the end of the day they want to make money and everything, but at the end of the day they are not targeting the profit. They also want to equally spend, like there's no dividends later on. Okay, so that will be shared out a lot. So they have a big focus on that. So many social enterprises go in that direction. Many other companies such as Microsoft now, which actually do things, huge things, like the kind of technology we now have access to and everything, actually do consider a lot of those practices and a lot of those things to be social enterprises. But those companies which choose that tag perhaps really informs the kind of decisions they make and how they choose to expand and even how they're structured. So say, for example, a company like Microsoft has to report earnings and its shareholders want to see, rise in share value. They want to collect dividends at the end of the year. A company such as ours, I think we are more interested in how many more have we reached this year. So, we would be plowing back a lot more.
So the shareholder is not really looking at how much they're getting out of this. It's not extractive. It's more of, if you're going to give me something, even if you declare dividend, if you declare 5% from the earnings, it's good. Plow the other 95 back into.
And I think that's the whole point.
Okay.
I think that's the whole point behind that.
Okay. Yeah. So then we talk about, how you're able to measure, right? Because that would be the difference here. And not just measuring in terms of how much you have in terms of numbers, but then really what it has done. So what are the markers that we use to say that this impact then has made a difference. And what is the difference that we're looking at? Has this person then been able to go from being within this community and then gone out and done 1, 2, 3? Or are we saying that the measure that we use here is if this person went through this training, for example, and then has now been able to get a job as a result of it? Is that what we're looking at? Or what kind of impact are we saying now is a measurable marker?
So you see, that it depends on the sector, the company, and the various things that are being aimed at. So like in our case, for example, which we are in the education sector and we are targeting the teachers specifically and the school administrators. So the things that we're measuring for us, for example, is the productivity of the workforce within the school. You find schools maybe employing maybe a few more people than they need just to follow up on a particular aspect that they have to follow up on. A company in the agricultural sector, for example, maybe is targeting a certain price point for a food product. A company in healthcare is maybe targeting availability of a certain kind of thing to the people around. So I think it really sector by sector. It's going to vary what.
So let's focus or concentrate on schools.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's where the thrust is here. What would we look at in a school setting where this has been introduced? What would we see? And it would be very clear that school X went through this, school Y did not. What would we see amongst teachers, for example, or the output that would help us to understand, this is the impact that this has actually had on these individuals or the community of the school?
So now, this is now depending on the behavior of a social enterprise. So I'll give you an example. So let's say we want to improve teachers. Typically, when we improve teachers, it's through events, a training event. And we organize 1 training event or 2 training events, and we limit it there, because we want to remain with a profit and we want to remain with a substantial chunk, as opposed to this person actually needs hand-holding all year round, and it's going to take much longer than what we can envision and design into a training. So a social enterprise kind of thinking tries to figure out how do we make sure we have this teacher every day and hold their hands all through the year to the point that they actually get to where we want them to go, as opposed to us saying we run a training event, take pictures, and we're happy about it, but deep down we know we've actually not changed this kind of a person. So that to me is a very clear example about just the thinking and the approach to it. So if you're thinking really in terms of the impact, like, is this person actually improved? Is this person actually effective? Then that's an example in amongst teachers that I would say. So it's in how the kind of programs are structured and the kind of decisions that go into creating a program like that.
Would the student or the learner come into play here? Because oftentimes the measure of a good teacher is what you see a student has been able to achieve or how they've been able to improve. So is that taken into consideration?
Very much, and by default, because the student leaves the school.
Yes.
The teacher remains.
Yes.
This teacher is there to benefit successive generations of students as they come. Even if they're transferred elsewhere, they're still benefiting successive generations. The student ni mpita njia, they're there today, tomorrow they go. So if you empower a teacher and really make sure that a teacher is extremely well, this person is there all through and they can keep impacting successive generations of students. So that's how it takes students into account.
Okay. So we'll talk about the social enterprises in Kenya, in Africa, and why such an event that you're organizing is actually then important. But let's take a break first. It's 7:30. Kenya's biggest conversation is taking this break. Mike Kipkorir Bill is the founder and CEO of Verb Education, while Martha Mbuvi is the coordinator for ACOSE, the organizing committee for this particular conference that's coming up this year. Say again, what's ACOSE in full? The
annual
Africa Conference on Social Entrepreneurship. It's a Pan-African summit.
Okay. Ndu,
yes.
There's a message as we go to a break.
Yes, there is a message. We're remembering that cervical cancer is a serious disease that affects the opening of the womb in women. So we're looking at, in Kenya, 9 women die every day from cervical cancer. What causes it? It's caused by the human papilloma virus. What can you do to protect yourself? It's prevented through the HPV vaccine. So make sure you get vaccinated. It's available for girls between 9 and 14 and also for women up until the age of 32. Early screening will also help identify this. Where can you get the vaccine? The government of Kenya introduced this vaccine into the routine immunization schedule. So it's for all girls until the age of 14. It means it's available in all immunizing health facilities at no cost. Stop cervical cancer. I am vaccinated.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
This season, we're celebrating the heartbeat of every family. Moms. Treat mom to an unforgettable shopping experience at Sarit, her ultimate shopping destination. Discover a wide array of gifts across various categories that cater to every mom's taste. Earn and redeem points with our Sarit loyalty app. Enjoy prepaid parking and snag gift vouchers. Plus, don't miss out on picking up your Mother's Day coloring card at customer care this month. Share your creations and tag us on @SaritYourCity. Visit www.sarityourcity.com for more details. Join us for Sarit's exclusive Mother's Month celebration. Don't miss out.
Shika so much more from the Premier League on your phone or tablet with Showmax.
Skips around, couldn't skip.
With Showmax, you can pause and rewind live matches and start them late and watch them as live if you are late. And Showmax has a range of data-saving options so that your network doesn't affect your fun.
It's ended up in the back of the net. It's just a
Shika so much more from the Premier League with Showmax from just 500 shillings a month by card or by M-Pesa. Shika Showmax. Streaming for Africa. Sign up on showmax.com.
Do you have the passion, the interest to tell a story to the world in your own style? Well, we're ready to take you in and help you grow your talents in the media industry. The Standard Group, in partnership with Talanta Institute, is offering a media training and incubation program courtesy of Standard Talanta Academy, where we nurture and guide industry talents on an array of topics from writing, reporting, media law and ethics, investigative journalism and research to the Kenya Copyright Board, Kenya Film Commission and the Kenya Films and Classification Board legal frameworks. To apply to the Standard Talanta Academy for our upcoming May intake, visit www.talanta.ac.ke or call 0724-468-468. The Standard Talanta Academy.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Mostly cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. 16 will see highs of 24 and lows of 15. 15 will be the low and a sunny Nakuru, going to highs of 26, and we'll see lows of 15 and highs of 25 in Nyeri. It's sunny at 15 in Eldoret, highs of 25, and into Mombasa we'll see highs of 31 and highs of 31 as well in a sunny Malindi. It's 20 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 29, and sunny at 19 in Kakamega, going to highs of 29. Mombasa is sunny at 20, Kampala is sunny at 22 with highs of 28, and Dar es Salaam at 25 is sunny, going to highs of 32. It's 13 and cloudy in Johannesburg with highs of 23, and at 27 Mogadishu is sunny with highs of 32. 26 will be the high in a sunny Addis Ababa, currently at 14. Lagos is clear at 28 with highs of 33, and we'll see highs of 31 in a mostly clear Kinshasa at 24.
Spice up your life.
All right, there's heavy traffic inbound on the Eastern Bypass. Everybody decided to leave at the same time. And so then what happens? Traffic. There's also traffic on Jogoo Road this morning coming in heavy towards Landis. And that's bumper to bumper through towards the Kamkunji roundabout. Kangunda Road started early. We still see that traffic. Everybody trying to join Outer Ring. And as you get to that Outer Ring junction coming out on the Thika Superhighway, there's traffic all the way through towards the junction leading to Murang'a Road and Wangari Maathai Way. All right, Limuru Road also has quite some of this traffic coming in from all the way from Kitisuru, and we're looking at Kiambu Road as well. Coming off of that northern bypass, traffic then joins through towards Muthaiga Square. We're getting into traffic hour proper now, and there's going to be a buzz of activity throughout. Doesn't matter where you are really from what we see. In case you get stuck or you find a good route, talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X hashtag The Situation Room.
Are you ready? Okay. Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our conversation continues with Mike Korir Bill, founder and CEO of Verb Education, and Martha Mbuvi, the coordinator for the organizing committee for the annual African Conference on Social Entrepreneurship. So, Martha, this conference, what edition is it?
Acosta 7th edition. Yeah.
7th edition. Okay. When is it going to be, and why is it important?
It's going to be on 15th to 17th. That's starting today. So this is day one.
Okay.
In the next probably 1 hour, the sessions will start. And it's important because we are having a conversation about redirecting the narrative or redefining the narrative of Africa. Africa has been said to be, we just have we have this kind of descriptions that it's kind of poor, it's disadvantaged, but with Akose we are saying we can have impact even in Africa. When you look at this Pan-African Summit, we are talking about over 50 countries involved. We are talking of delegates that are coming from all over Africa. And in Kenya in particular, we have over 85,000 social enterprises. Yeah. So when you talk about the impact that we have, then we are saying we can have these conversations. We are bringing in all the stakeholders together to just have a conversation on social entrepreneurship. Yeah.
These over 85,000 are what, registered as social enterprises?
Yes, registered social enterprises, because we're also looking at the SMEs.
Okay.
Yeah, the middle level ones, the high level, all that together, put together, we have over 85,000.
So all these organizations, individuals and companies from all the 50 countries who are coming to Kenya for these 2 days, what are they going to be doing? Is it exhibitions? Is it discussions? Is it lobbying? Are we expecting a street march? A festival? What?
Yeah, we are going to have panel conversations. We're also going to have keynote speakers. We have the ambassador of Hungary as one of our chief guests, and the Honorable His Excellency Olelenko of Kajiado, the governor of Kajiado. Then we are going to have our master classes. We'll have breakout rooms to address a number of thematic areas. And just to mention a few, we have legal policy frameworks on social entrepreneurship. We have healthcare. We are going to address mental health. We have issues about human capital. We have issues of diversity and inclusion. And all these will be conversations around social entrepreneurship. And so we'll also have exhibitors. We have exhibitors on the ground already. And we are going to have a youth festival on Friday. So we are going to have a conversation with the youth about social entrepreneurship. Yeah, and also the academia is coming on board also on Friday. We are going to have the academia in one room discussing methodologies and research, perspectives on social entrepreneurship, because we are saying it's now the high time we document this. Social entrepreneurship, by the way, has been in existence for a very long time. I'm tempted to introduce something here which I'm not so okay. I really have to be careful, but there's something called African entrepreneurship. I don't know if they remember the days of something like Karaoke and Sons. That's African entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Leaving a legacy. You start a business, but your aim is not just you. It goes down into other generations.
Yep.
So, but at this point, we are not talking about African entrepreneurship, but it's part of social entrepreneurship, because we are looking at the impact on community, global impact. We have the non-profit making organizations, and then we also have the transformative organizations. So all that put together, social entrepreneurship.
The power of example cannot be overestimated. See, when you talk about African enterprise, and you talk about social enterprise in an African setting, any enterprise within this continent has a social component, a huge one. There's always a black tax attached to it, whether you like it or not. So it may be clearly for profit, but believe me, the social element will always be there. There'll be a harambe, there'll be a need for someone to help someone who's in a hospital. There'll be a need to ensure that somebody has gone to school or somebody wants to study abroad. It's a constant. So even when we talk about social enterprise and we talk about entrepreneurship in an African context, may not necessarily be the same discussion that you're having with people in the West.
Yeah,
because
true.
For them, many of the things that we find ourselves involved in, they have governments that take care of some of these social needs. For us, the social needs are taken care of predominantly by individuals, people's families. Now, beyond the conversations that we are going to have, I personally like talking, so the idea of conversations make me very happy. Then what? All these people come together, you have all these discussions, you document all these things, then what?
Yeah, then we have impact in our community because we are bringing in the actors in social entrepreneurship. So we are bringing in the public sector, the private sector, change makers, and then we have these conversations. And then because we've also had very successful success stories out of Akose. A good example would be Solberg, which is a baby of Akose, Mshamba, which is a digital platform for the agricultural sector. We have Mike here of Verb Education. We have E for Impact. So we always have those success stories out of all these conversations, because remember, we're not just talking about social enterprises, we're also looking at social innovations. What are some of these social innovations in our community that have really impacted the community? So it's not just about the enterprises. It goes beyond, I like saying it goes beyond what we know as our traditional business. It's not the dukkha. It's not the dukkha. Like if I have somebody doing garbage collection, they have offered employment, but they are also impacting on the environment. So it goes beyond just the conversations. We've had very good success stories out of Akose.
But the conversations are necessary.
Yeah.
Oh no, they're absolutely necessary. The reason why I asked the question is this. This country seems to have become a conference hub for the planet. No week passes by without some international conference taking place. Conferences are good. It gives an opportunity for people to hear and understand things that are happening elsewhere, and to also pick up, make connections. It is good. But when there are too many conversations, I am not sure that the requisite action that is required actually takes place, because people just get stuck on one conversation, leading it to another conversation to verify what it is that was discussed, and then you now quantify what was verified, and before you know it, the year has ended and you want to have another conference to now determine how it is that all these conversations impacted. So I am simply saying this because the conversations can be an end in itself.
Yeah.
In your case, you've clearly given an example that it is not. But many conferences are just that. We had the African Climate Change Conference. Tell me what exactly has happened since that conference took place that you can point to. Here, we know we're supposed to plant 1 trillion trees. We know that. Sorry. 15 billion. Okay, 15 billion. Not quite a trillion. But we're supposed to
Eventually, 1 trillion.
Yes, now. Every so often we plant trees. It has been mentioned. So one could say we see it happening, all right? And then?
I could contribute. For me, this, for example, will be the 4th edition that I'll be attending. So I've attended another 3 before. This will be the 4th. And I can tell you the beauty of having a place where many people come to talk. The first thing is the networking value that you get out of there. There's so much networking value. You get to meet other enterprises doing something similar, something completely dissimilar, but then you do find very unique avenues for collaborating together and creating opportunities. What has clearly been born out of the successive Akose conferences are other organizations around the continent. For example, in DRC, led by one of the partners called Agromwinda in DRC, who attended Akose several years back, saw the kind of discussions happening. They've mirrored something similar there, and what Agromwinda has been able to do in terms of organizing enterprises within Congo and to get them to have impact within that space there has been good, to the point that they too have also ended up hosting their own conferences there. But those conferences don't come from nothing. They come from a community of practice, a community of people who are actually doing things together over time. Yeah.
Let me ask the question that was actually at the heart of my questioning.
Yep.
Do we cascade these conferences so that what we have at a national level is then cascaded to a micro level, where looking at the diversity of things that come out of the conference, let's say from County X, whether that conversation is then taken to that county so that that county can disseminate that conversation so that the very things you're talking about is understood at the so-called Mwananchi level. Yes.
Okay, let me respond to that. We have iTalk, which is a post-Akose event. We are able now to go to Mashinani, if I can say that. It's a webinar. We normally do a webinar on that. And then and because of that, then we are able now to follow up, like you're saying, to go to cascade this beyond now the national level. So we are able to do our iTalks. And the iTalks is where now we involve what I would say the common Mwananchi. Yeah, later on now, it's a post-Akose event.
So obviously, this is the 7th one.
Yeah, this is the 7th one.
And so, I mean, we've talked about this in pockets. But then there is enough to say that it's necessary for us to do another one. Until, I mean, it's called annual for a reason. So what are some of those pointers that say, you know what, we can't stop. We must do another one so that we can bring heads together for conference. So what are those that would say, okay, we need to do another one? Why?
I would say the reason we keep doing another one and another one is because of consistency and continuity. That is one. 2, every year we introduce new themes. Like this year, we've introduced a thematic area called Refugee Socioeconomic Integration. Last year, we introduced faith-based entrepreneurship. So we keep growing. We keep growing. And because of that, because remember, this is a conversation between actors, collaborators. You know, we have very great partners like the Get Through the Hospital is one of our partners. Growinda, we have CISP, we have, we have quite a number that are on board with us. Gold Youth. And so every year we get to have conversations around what else do we want to introduce in the conference to make it a bit different. Like now this year, we have 2 new components. Academia, conversations, where we're going to be, like conference style. And then we also have the Youth Festival. Okay, and those are new components of Akose. So every year we are growing, every year we are getting more innovative, we are getting more creative, and so it creates a need for another Akose. And I believe the next one now will not even just be bigger and better. This one of Akose 7, we are saying bigger and better. Next year, I think we'll lose excellence, bigger, better. I don't know what else we'll say. But because we are growing. Remember, Akose is a platform to network, to grow, to gain knowledge, to get creative, in those conversations.
So something you mentioned earlier when you talk, and you thought it might be controversial, but I don't really think so. When you talk about African entrepreneurship and talking about passing down from generation to the next, about best practices, because they work, isn't it? And there's a reason why some people continue to go in that direction. So, is it a forum whereby some of these things that maybe previously had been shunned upon and said, no, there is another model for business in Africa that we should follow. There is another model for entrepreneurship that we should follow. Meanwhile, those that were inherently ours, there's nothing wrong with them. They worked very well, and there were some people who were extremely wealthy that were able to pass down the tenets of business from father to son, and father to daughter in nowadays, So will some of those be discussed? Because it seems as though we have somehow shunned some of our practices and welcomed the practices of the West, thinking that ours do not work, but they do. So is there room for some of these conversations to take place?
Actually, I would say that probably one of our thematic areas next year is going to be African entrepreneurship. Preempting next year. Because we need to look at that practice. It's a good practice, whereby we are able to, the next generation is able to pick from their fathers. But there's something that needs to get into this conversation. So where does the girl child also come in? When you talk of only karaoke and sons. So that's an issue to explore next year.
So should it be karaoke, daughters and sons?
Yeah,
karaoke and family. Because if you look at the Western models, if you look at the Western models, what happens? A daughter can also inherit a business. But in Africa, we are still very far from that.
In this country, not that far.
Not so far.
Not so far, but still far.
True.
If you do a bit of research, you'll see we are still a bit far.
True.
We have those that are empowered and that are sensitized enough to know that you can also have your sons and daughters inherit a business. But I want to take us back to the inheritance battles we've seen in this country. Our billionaires.
Why I say we are not quite there is because we have a constitution that supports that very notion.
Yeah,
and law and legal practice.
Yes.
That also has done the same.
Yes.
Decisions from the court which are setting the precedent on this.
So tradition may interfere with it because what we're talking about is tradition and practice.
Yeah.
It does not favor the girl child being given that particular opportunity. But again, so long as it's anchored within a certain framework, then you have actually taken a very positive step. Yes.
Yeah.
Let me ask the question on advocacy. Does the conference have an element of advocacy, of coming together, identifying issues that are of common interest that then would require a harmonized voice to push and advocate?
Yeah, and I think that's why we have a session on policy formulation, because it is out of policies that we can actually now move to the next level and have a voice concerning some of these matters. So there's a whole thematic area on that.
How does the government recognize social enterprise, if at all?
Yeah, they do with the involvement with the small, what we call small medium enterprises. We have MCA, which is a member of which is actually one of our partners. And we are trying to bring on board conversations with the public sector on social entrepreneurship, and especially our interest, a lot of interest has been felt on the new scheme, the credit guaranteeing scheme, which we believe will be able to finance the SMEs.
But there's nothing that is set aside that specifically recognizes a business as a social enterprise. Is there a need for that? Is there a need for, at point of registration or at some point, a business being categorized as a social enterprise so that then it can enjoy some of those benefits? So you can say that because you're a social enterprise, if you apply for the credit guarantee scheme, you qualify. If you apply for this kind of business with government, you qualify. Is there a need for such, Mike?
Not necessarily, honestly. What is needed, and for me, actually, the whole concept of a social enterprise is the resonance. A conference like Akose, we resonate that there's a place where there are many people who think about not the share price at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I do not necessarily. I think there should be an enabling environment for this kind of thing. I even think in one of the sessions, Honorable Ndidi Nyoro will be coming, and there'll be that component of advocacy where people will be, discussing at that point. I don't think there's a need to, by definition, like when you're registering your company, you register yourself as an NGO, a social enterprise, or a limited company. I don't necessarily think that distinction is there, but I think there should be an enabling environment for people who want to act as social enterprises to actually have the space and
part of that enabling environment could be incentives. Now, how would you get incentives if you are not categorized?
So once again, it depends on how you look at it.
Okay.
The current tax regime is incentive enough.
Really?
For example, I know, no one wants to hear that.
Say that again.
But I'm interested. I want to hear. Yes. What's your perspective?
You see, you pay a certain amount of income tax based on your profits. Okay? And you can decide that does carry take this for it to have an impact by itself, or do we plow back and expand our scope and expand what we do? So of course I don't mean that it is encouraging us in that sense, but I mean the current constraints we have within our tax environment and everything actually do make you feel that, I think let's reinvest, let's do this at the end of the day. So it can make sense to have incentives for social enterprises. I fully agree on that. But then it would be difficult, of course, to where do we draw the line on who exactly is a social enterprise? You give the example of Microsoft. In their actions and in what they're doing, it's amazing impact, but you know about what they are pursuing at the end of the day. which is the shareholder value and all that. So it's a very fluid situation, which I think our current constraints, under our current constraints, you can still act very much as a social enterprise.
Where do the youth fit into this conversation? Because you have a youth festival.
Yeah, that's where the youth fits in. We are going to have a youth festival and have conversations. There's going to be a gallery, an art gallery on some of these social innovations, and then there will be conversations around how the youth can get involved in social entrepreneurship, because it's been a challenge in the past trying to explain to them what it's all about.
Why?
First of all, they don't understand even who are entrepreneurs. Most of them are like, show us the entrepreneurs in Kenya. Now we're also talking about social entrepreneurship, so that's a big elephant in the room.
Okay,
and that's why we are having a conversation on the third day.
How do you marry them with the with academia? The academics, you say, we're going to be part and parcel of it.
Yeah, we'll have two sessions. On the third day, we'll have the academia on their own and the youth festival on its own.
What are the academics discussing? Beyond theory.
Yeah, theories are important. In any conversation, theories are important.
That's why I said beyond theory.
The tenets of those theories and how practical we can get. Because remember, one of the things about social entrepreneurship is born out of
an idea.
Yes. And not just an idea, even a philosophy in Tangaza University of social transformation. Yeah, that's why we have social entrepreneurship, because we're looking at the transformative models that are of impact in our community. Yeah, so it's not just about the conversations. We're also looking at how else can we impact our community.
And I think also the academia, and why I find them very important, is they're a very good source of generating evidence and in generating credibility around some of the practices.
Only if they're involved in research.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they're not, they'll be regurgitating things that are probably out of date. Yes.
Like now, the papers we are going to have, these are papers that people have already started even carrying out data collection. So we are not talking about, it's not just theory, we are involved in research. So the academia will be developing documents based on that.
Yeah.
And we believe we are going to publish a journal out of that.
Conversations are good.
Good.
They are very good.
Yeah.
And they must be encouraged.
They need to start, they need to be maintained.
Yes, that's the whole point.
Okay.
Yes.
So today until Friday, venue?
Venue is at Tangaza University. We've already started. I think they are on board right now. The keynote speakers this morning, and then the panel sessions, and then we also have showcasing. And we forgot to mention that we are going to showcase success stories out of Akose. The previous Akoses, remember they are the seventh. Yeah, so we have showcasing in every panel session.
So everything else that has happened will now be seeing it as well.
Yes, we'll now be seeing.
Well, all the best with that. And let's see, we can have a conversation after this, the conference itself. Come and tell us, so this is what came out of that conference. These are the kind of conversations. These are the action points and what we expect to see going forward into the next one. Mike Kipkorir Bill is the founder and CEO of Verb Education, and Martha Mbuvi is the coordinator of the organizing committee of the annual African Conference on Social Entrepreneurship. It's taking place in Nairobi at Tangaza University today into Friday, and they'll be discussing very many issues and aspects of social enterprise in the continent. Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. We'll be talking about the Kenya-US relations, 60 years of diplomatic ties between Kenya and America. President of the Republic of Kenya is due to be hosted by the President of the USA on a state visit. What does that mean? The Ambassador of America to Kenya, Meg Whitman, is our guest in the next hour. Keep it here for that. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. 289 people are now known to have died in a flood-related incident in the country after Interior Ministry announced more deaths. The ministry says the heavy rains have so far impacted over 400,000 people. 75 people are still missing and another 188 have sustained injuries. Three schools in Baringa County have been declared unsafe for students after classrooms and other buildings were badly damaged by floods. Elsewhere in Loitip Primary School, more than 1,000 families still living in the school were asked to leave to allow students continue their education. The education officer in Baringo South, George Oketo, says the families who had to evacuate their homes are from Logwan, Lezwa and Lepunyaki areas.
Wanafunzi wa shule hii ni 328 wako tayari kabisa kusoma hata saa hizi, na ndio mnaona hata mimi mwenyewe niko hapa pamoja na walimu wangu, lakini wazazi hao hatujui mahali sasa tutawaweka.
When the river Perkera decided to branch into the school and weakened the buildings have cracked right across the classroom, from the walls to the floor, and about the 4 classrooms are badly affected.
In Nyeri County, the students of Endarasha Boys High School have had to start the second time with great caution due to the effects of floods in the area. The students are among the many who could not start classes by Tuesday, with only 50% of students having reported back to school. A similar situation is being reported at Nyeri High School, where classes remain empty.
We are looking forward to having modern ablution blocks, and it is possible. With the assistance of our political leaders, government and our stakeholders, we are going to do it. The challenge that was there was about the toilets, and with the consultation of the Board of Management and other stakeholders, we've been able to handle this challenge. Now we are ready. The toilets have been exhausted. They are ready. The boys are going to be comfortable.
Students started going back to school for the second Monday after the government twice postponed the opening of schools after heavy rains pounded the country and caused severe flooding. Benue Audio Party has launched an initiative to provide humanitarian aid to flood victims in the country. Here are officials of the party, Hassan Joho and Wycliffe Oparanya.
Ni kwamba sahihi wa Kenya unatuhitaji sisi na wewe ambaye uko pande ile. So if you're very comfortable, kama umekaa pale pazuri sana, kumbuka kuna Mkenya ambaye sahihi anasota kiasi kikubwa.
When we go to Madare, we will not be looking at this is an ODM supporter, this is an ODM supporter. We are going to help people who are affected as much as we can.
Meanwhile, the Red Cross has issued an urgent appeal for support from Kenyans and well-wishers to aid the flood victims. The organization's Secretary General Ahmed Idris called for generous donations to alleviate the suffering of those affected. Now, a few days after the Mombasa County government announced an increase in taxes on Mira and Mogoka, MPs from the coast have now supported the move. Speaking at the Parliament buildings, the MPs have mentioned that their decision will reduce the addiction of Mira and Mogoka. The MPs say that a large number of residents are using Mira and Mogoka, some, especially young people, remaining addicted. They say that the effects of Mira and Mogoka are just the same as other drugs, suggesting they should be banned.
Vijana wameingia makemist kutafuta dawa za kusaidia wao nguvu za kiume. So what is happening in society jamani? Ikiwa vijana mabarobaro wanatafuta nguvu za kiume na sisi wazee tunaendelea vile vile kama tulivyotengenezwa zamani, then there is something wrong in society.
Kwa sababu watakana pia pale nyumbani ikifika wapewe haki yao kisawasawa. Baada ya kupawa mgoka, ya kula mgoka na kila kitu, wewe hivi sasa jicho likuzunguka, kazi yako ufanye vizuri.
Zao la mugoka unaharibu mpaka watoto wa shule, kwa sababu leo wauzaji wa mugoka wanatengeza paka paketi ndogo za shilingi 20, paketi ya shilingi 50, paketi ya shilingi 100. Tikija kwa drugs, we are nowhere. Kwa meza ya drugs sisi hatuwezi kukaa kusupport miraa na mugoka. No, we will support mama anauza tomato na mboga, ushuru wake uwekwe sawa ili aweze kupata nafasi ya kutuuzia chakula.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asset. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Coming up to 7 minutes after 8. Good morning. On to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is a Situation Room on SpiceFM, on KTN Home, on YouTube, on Facebook. We live stream this show from Nairobi to the entire world. There are people who are watching this, not live. They're watching this 6 months from today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, everybody. Whichever time of year or time of the century that you're watching this.
In the year of our
Karibu
Lord.
sana, as long as it's in the year of our Lord. Welcome, and we are grateful that you're here with us. Our guest is in the studio, the ambassador of the United States to Kenya. Sometimes people call her Kenya's chief marketing or investments officer and ambassador to the U.S., Margaret Meg Whitman. Good morning, Balozi.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Happy to be here.
How does it feel?
Feels good.
Mm-hmm. Karibu sana. What do your friends call you? Can we call you Meg?
You can call me Meg.
Ah, good. Welcome, Meg.
Thank you.
City here has the day's proverb. Every week, City goes to one African country. He's a researcher. So he researches the best proverbs in that country. Then he brings us one proverb a day. Now, your job, number one, is to listen to the proverb. Job number two is to give us your interpretation of the proverb. Okay?
All right.
City.
Yes.
This week we are in?
We're in the Republic of Malawi, but I will certainly not call Her Excellency Meg. That I will not.
What will you call her?
Your Excellency.
Okay.
It is only when the flood is gone that you can claim to be lucky.
It's only when the flood is gone that you can claim to be lucky.
Yes.
What's your interpretation of this proverb?
Well, thank you for that, and it's great to be here. I think what that proverb is trying to say is when the flood is gone, you see what's really left. And sometimes it's only you and your family, and you have lost all your possessions. And so sometimes you realize that you can be lucky to be alive and to have a very small number of things. And sometimes we get caught up in the materialism of the world, but when the flood is gone, what really matters is still left.
So what's the lesson?
Lesson, be grateful for what you have and be resilient.
Great. It's a good one. So Kenya and US are marking 60 years of diplomatic ties, and this will be marked by a state visit by President William Ruto to America to be hosted by President and Dr. Jill Biden. Why a state visit? What's the difference between a state visit and the other visits that President Ruto himself and other presidents have had to the U.S.?
Yeah. So the state visit is really the highest honor that a country and a head of state can have. And it has all the formalities of a dinner at the White House, what they call a state dinner. Then there is obviously a bilateral engagement between the cabinet of the United States and the cabinet of Kenya in this case. And there is a very formal welcome ceremony, and then lots of interactions with other branches of the government and the people of the United States. So it's very formal. And really a very big honor for the Kenyan people.
So how big is it of a difference between what this visit is going to be versus the others? For example, President Uhuru Kenyatta had several visits to the White House and met with the president.
Yes, but I don't think he had what we call a state dinner.
Okay.
At the White House, there'll be 300 to 400 people from a broad cross-section of Americans, a broad cross-section of Kenyans, and the diaspora. By the way, you know there's a very large number of prominent Kenyans who are now Kenyan Americans, and many of them have been invited. And so that is a very formal and a big honor. When a normal visit to the United States by any head of state never involves a state dinner unless it is a state visit. And just to give you some perspective, this administration has had just 5 state visits in their first 4 years, and this will be the 6th and final one in his first term.
So when you consider relations between two states, any two states, what would be the significance of something like this? And so let's look specifically then at the US and Kenya. And to say then, like you said, other visits have taken place between President of Kenya and presidents of the United States, but a state visit, what's the significance of this in the relations between the two countries?
I think it really does 2 things. It underscores the strength of the relationship between Kenya and the United States. You know, we've been working together for 60 years on regional peace and security, on trade and investment, on shared, now recently, climate solutions. And this has been quite a tight working relationship for many years. It's had its ups and downs, like every relationship, but it has been a very solid relationship. And I think it is an acknowledgement of that relationship on the occasion of the 60th anniversary, if you will, of the partnership. And it will have the highest level of the United States government really focused on this, and we will discuss a lot of issues that are important to both countries.
How would you define or describe U.S.-Kenya relations or the relationship today?
I would say, in a word, it is excellent. It is deep, it is broad. As I said, it spans from regional peace and security to trade and investment to a health partnership. We've been working with the Kenyans on health, malaria, tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS for many, many years. Digital and technology cooperation. I think one of the reasons I was asked to be the ambassador to Kenya was because of Silicon Savannah. Today, Kenya is the technology capital of East Africa, and actually probably the technology capital of the entire continent. And we will talk about that and the digitalization actually of the continent. And I should also say, I think this is a recognition of the importance of Africa to the United States. Kenya is the country that's being honored, but it is I think it's a recognition that Africa is a very, very important continent, certainly to the world, but particularly to America in the next 20 years.
Why?
Well, as you well know, by 2050, 1 in 4 people on Earth will live in Africa, and 1 in 3 working-age people will live in Africa. So it's going to be the locus of population. It will be the youngest population. Therefore, it's with the working age, and it will be the largest consumer market in 2050. So that makes everyone need to stand up and say, you know, what are we going to do with Africa?
Right. Meg, I've watched many of your presentations so far in many events, and you go very, very big on saying, why Kenya, why Africa? I don't bother about the other Africa bit, I just bother on what you're saying about why Kenya. And you're big on those things and saying the future, the kind of society that we have, the education, the opportunities, the everything about Kenya, and then why American companies should come and invest here. What I've noticed is that you, then, that's why I say you are marketing Kenya to American companies to say, come and invest in this country. A marked difference from your predecessors. We're used to American ambassadors coming to Kenya and going gung-ho on democracy, on the rule of law, on corruption, on, you know, and dangling the aid carrot and saying, so we're going to give you aid, or we're going to withdraw aid, or we're going to suspend aid because you're not doing this and the other, and threatening sanctions to some political leaders or players and business people not to visit America because of one reason or the other. You've not done that. Is this your brief or is this your style?
Probably a little bit of both. When I was asked to come, as I said, it was really my technology background that I think the President of the United States thought was a very good match for Kenya. But you also have to remember, I'm not a career Foreign Service officer. I am actually a business person. I spent my entire 40-year career running companies. And I didn't know much about Africa. I'd been here on business, but I had not lived outside the United States before, and had certainly been to Kenya, but only probably 3 or 4 times on business. And what I understood here almost immediately was the potential of this country. And I think, frankly, what Kenya and Africa needs the most is jobs, jobs, jobs. Good jobs for young people. You know, today there's 1 million college graduates in Kenya, I think, every year, about 300,000 of which get jobs that are befitting, if you will, of a college graduate. So there's tremendous talent that's underutilized, and Americans are looking for places to invest, looking for supply chain diversification. If we learned anything from the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we learned that having a single source supply chain, a single country, is probably too risky. And so there's lots of companies that are looking to go someplace else. And guess what Kenya has that they want? Really great workforce and 93% renewable energy, because every company is trying to get to zero net emissions to get to their Scope 2, Scope 3 emissions goals. So supply chain diversification and green energy is a wonderful calling card for Kenya, and we hope we can improve foreign direct investment and create more jobs.
Does this mean America is now less concerned about corruption and governance issues in the country?
Well, corruption, as I have said in many speeches, corruption is still an issue here in Kenya, and what I have said is if corruption is not gotten under control, it will be the reason that Kenya does not fulfill its full potential. And so we have very frank discussions about corruption, and we try to support an anti-corruption agenda with the government and the country. But ultimately, it's up to the Kenyans to decide that this is something they really want to tackle.
Is there a balance of relations between Kenya and the U.S.? And when I ask that because are we looking at both countries seated at the table with equal tools with which to operate this relationship? Or are we seeing that the U.S. is big brother to Kenya and is leading the way?
Well, I think it's actually quite an equal partnership on a lot of dimensions. So first of all, the United States is the largest export market for Kenya, I think next to Uganda. Last year we were bigger than this year Uganda, I think, took the first spot again. But we are the largest export market, which gives Kenyans a very big seat at the table. And then in the health partnership, yes, we provide technology and know-how and some financials, but the Kenyans implement what has been a remarkably successful PEPFAR program here. I would say that has been one of the hallmarks of our 60-year partnership. So, yes, the United States is a much bigger economy.
Indeed.
But I would say, and regional peace and security, you're leading the way there. We're, behind the scenes trying to help. So I'd say it's quite equal. Probably the advantage that America has is a much bigger economy.
Speaking of PEPFAR, CT?
Yes, you saw the movement of my hands.
Yes.
What I've often marveled at is why it is the U.S. doesn't harp loudly enough about what PEPFAR has done. I speak as somebody who worked in programs that were funded by PEPFAR, and I witnessed firsthand what it did, and I have never seen anything that has been as transformative.
Yeah.
We have AGOA, very good, yes, business, yes. But the devastating effects of HIV were so cataclysmic,
yes,
so absolutely horrific that when you have one program, just one, that injects not just expertise, but continuous hand-holding and continuous money that ensures that not only do you get remedial care, but you continue to receive the appropriate measure of care that you need for not a decade, decades. Now,
for the rest of your life.
Yes. Now that I do not know of any intervention, even when I look at other countries on the planet, that you can actually compare with it. Why don't you harp about it? Why don't you? Why doesn't the U.S. talk about this thing and whistles and bells and the whole works? Because even to date, even when we say that we have more or less understood it and it's under control, some of the biggest support that the Ministry of Health in this country gets comes from there.
Correct. Yes. Correct. Well, first of all, thank you for saying that, because I think it is one of the, if not the most successful United States government programs ever in the history of the United States, working with other countries. And we just finished celebrating the 20th year of PEPFAR in Africa, and there's been over 24 million lives saved. And there are people who are living very productive lives on retrovirals, for the rest of their life.
Yes.
And there's been a whole infrastructure that's been built up for the delivery of these medicines, which, by the way, came in handy in COVID.
Yes.
And if there's ever another pandemic, that infrastructure that's been built will be very important. And I think we do talk about it some. We talked about it on the 20th anniversary. But I think America perhaps we don't, quote unquote, market ourselves very well. And I think it's because we are happy to be able to do what we have done. I think we understand that many people in Kenya and other countries of Africa understand what has been done. But I'm not sure it's in our nature to brag about that kind of thing. And, interestingly, when I came, often you would go to events that were put on by the World Food Program or UNICEF.
Yeah.
But there would be never anything about the United States. And you probably know we're probably 80% of the funding of the World Food Program.
Yes.
And probably 40 or 50% of UNICEF. But we often hang back and let the World Food Program and UNICEF lead forward. And I think it's, we could have a debate about whether it's the right thing or not, but I think, there's a humbleness about it, which I appreciate.
On a planet where bad news travels faster than everything else, and the influence of the U.S. is felt literally everywhere, good news should take precedence. So having said that, this is something that I've often wanted to ask, and I'm glad you're here. What would you say is the U.S. policy for Africa?
I'd say the first thing is, particularly under this administration, I think President Biden has recognized the future importance of Africa, the demographics that you and I discussed, that America needs to pay more attention to Africa as a trading partner, as a regional peace and security partner. And, in life, half the battle is showing up. And I think for many years we did not show up as we might have on the continent. And really under this administration, we have showed up in a much bigger way. The African Leaders Summit, I think, in fact, me being asked to go to Kenya in some ways underscores that. And so I think the strategy is we're going to show up. We're going to do everything we can to offer Kenyans and other African countries a choice of who you do business with, who you do regional peace and security. So it's not you can only do business with us or only work with us, but we need to have a set of offerings that is more attractive than perhaps our geopolitical competitors.
So Kenya's biggest export market is, of course, USA.
Yes.
We've got the AGOA,
yes,
the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act, which is coming to an end, and we'll have a conversation about what happens thereafter.
Yes.
But do you think Kenya has actually optimized the AGOA opportunities?
Well, AGOA has
maximized.
It has. It's been a big success here, as you know. I think it's increased 12 times in the last 10 years. The amount of exports to the United States under AGOA, it's well over $500 or $600 million today. Probably the biggest beneficiary has been the apparel business. That has been an enormous success story. And by the way, apparel is a big employer, so that's important. But there are many, many more categories. I think there's over 900 categories that you can export duty-free to the United States under AGOA, and Kenya has not taken advantage of all 900 categories. And one of the things that when AGOA gets renewed, which I believe it will, is I want to sit down with Rebecca Miano at the Ministry of Industry and Trade and say, okay, what are the next 20 or 30 categories that Kenya could really take advantage of? Many of that would be agriculture. I think there's technology. There's many other categories. So I think it's been a big success, but not fully utilized, to be perfectly frank.
Yeah. In fact, the conversation that I had, Rebecca Miano saying yesterday, that yes, we have actually not done enough, and we should look at what we could do to expand. Why do you think we haven't done enough? Is it a lack of opportunities? Is it lack of awareness?
I think it's lack of awareness. It's perhaps lack of an economic focus for the government of Kenya. I mean, I think Rebecca has this, the list of all 900 categories in front of her, and she's saying, okay, what can Kenya do uniquely better than anyone else, and where is the momentum that we can build on? So I think she's right, and I think there's quite a bright future here. And by the way, in the United States, when people question the renewal of AGOA, they never question, does it work and is it great for the African countries and things, but they say, why hasn't it been utilized more? I was back in the States about a month ago, and I had a number of conversations with Congress, and their only question was, why is there not more utilization of this? So I think we have to work hard together to utilize more categories to the benefit of Kenyans and, frankly, to the benefit of the Americans.
There have been ongoing trade talks between Kenya and the USA. I don't know what stage they are at right now. You can tell us about that. And so how do those play with AGOA's renewal?
Yeah. Well, they're two separate things because AGOA is for the entire African continent. Not every country is eligible for AGOA, but most are. And then there is what's called the Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership, which is only between Kenya and the United States. And it would be the first strategic trade and investment partnership between an African country and the United States. And so we want to do AGOA for the continent, but this is about how do we maximize trade between our two countries. And it's coming along. These things are quite technical and quite detailed. And I'd say we're probably 30 to 40% of the way through. I had hoped that we would get this done before the state visit, but we were not able to get it done. There's good progress. We'll talk about that at the state visit. I expect it will be done by the end of the year at the latest.
You know, the underlying issue that could respond to the question of why it is all the tenets of AGOA have not been utilized or taken advantage of lies in just one word, corruption. You see, when corruption is a fundamental business within a country, the entrepreneurship mentality that is required to take such advantages does not take center stage. What takes the prevailing stage is corruption, because people pursue it with the same vigor and energy as they would pursue actually structured business, such as the opportunities that are offered by AGOA. So even as there is this partnership, the questions that will continuously be asked is, what is it that this partnership is doing to ensure that those in leadership understand the need for accountability and the need for them to ensure that there is a concerted, visible effort to stamp out this one bane, this one burden that prevents this country from actually moving forward fast in the direction that it could.
Yeah. So I agree with you. As I said, I think that's one of the biggest issues facing Kenya. And by the way, it's not just Kenya, right? This is true in many, many parts of the world. And it is a very difficult and intractable problem because it's been going on in many countries for so long. And so I think we have very frank conversations with the government on this. We have a number of programs. I have two very senior, what we call assistant U.S. attorneys here that are helping with the court system, you know, doing capacity building. We have a number of programs. But in the end, I think the Kenyan people need to decide that this is something that they really want tackled. And by the way, I think the media has a role to play in that. And I think that the government, you know, has got to take a firmer stance on this.
I mean, far be it from us to have a political conversation, but if we look at the jurisdiction where you hail from, when we look at things that often would go wrong, according to the people's choice, we don't hear silence, that people speak up. There's a huge lobbying capacity and practice in the US. There is a systemized way of doing things, for which in many cases corruption is frowned upon. And if we're talking about the one big impediment to development here, we're looking at corruption. We can't run away from that. And we are at the same time saying that there's a relationship between the two. Would you encourage that kind of thing where the citizen's voice then rises up and speaks to its government to hold it accountable?
So America has a history, as you say, of fighting corruption. It's easy to forget. Do you remember the mafia in the 20s and 30s? I mean, this was enormous corruption, and it was what we called organized crime. It wasn't crime, it was organized crime. And it took a number of years to fight this. It took courts, it took people, it took the government, and finally we overcame that. But every country, and by the way, there still is corruption in the United States from time to time, right? We see that. So this is a journey that will never end, in my view. And so I think the question for Kenya is, how can you accelerate that journey? And what can you do as the media? What should the president be doing? What should the country be doing to really tackle this?
Do you think the people's voice should be amplified when it comes to this? Keeping leaders accountable?
I do.
Are we going to a break?
I know you have conversations from time to time with President William Ruto. Do you talk about these issues of corruption?
You know, I have frank conversations with the government up and down. I meet with many people in the government. And by the way, so do many other heads of mission here. It's a very strong group of ambassadors here, particularly from Europe and Australia. But we do focus on other things, as you know, most of the time on other things, whether it's regional trade, whether it is regional peace and security, whether it is job creation here. And what I will say, you mentioned that corruption may be the one reason that other parts of AGOA are not taken advantage of. That's probably true. But also, when you go after an industry like technology or apparel, you have to have a really dedicated strategy and a focus. I'm a big believer in focus. And so if Kenya decided they were going to go after the apparel business and look at what it is today. The president was just out at Ati River announcing 20,000 new jobs. And they're good jobs. They're well-paying jobs, 3 meals a day, daycare, medical clinics. So you have to go after a sector. BT Cotton. Cotton, as I understand it, used to be a big business here.
Yes, it was.
And fabric is important for the apparel business. Right now, all the apparel companies import fabric from Tanzania and I think other places. And so bringing back the cotton industry is very important. So how do you do that? You got to say, well, okay, we're going to go try to find 250,000 acres of cotton. Who could do that? Homa Bay, Kakamega, Kilifi, and then you've got to, help them get the seeds and organize that. It won't necessarily happen by itself, not because of corruption, but because it needs sort of a catalytic function.
Okay. Waziri, you came under fire.
Yes.
Last year, when you made certain comments about this being the election that took place then being one of the fairest or most transparent. And, whether you heard it or not, the speculation was real. Would you stand by the same sentiments or the same comments that you made about that time, regardless of what anybody said after that?
I would.
Okay.
I would stand by.
Why?
Because by all reports, not because of what America said, but there was well over 1,000 election observers here. There were independent groups who made those comments. And from what we saw and what those groups saw, this was a free and fair election. And I think, listen, I ran for governor of California, so I understand politics.
Yeah.
And people said, weren't you, upset or hurt? And I said, well, relative to what I endured running for governor of California, on a scale of 1 to 10, that was a 1. And what I encountered in California was a 10. So it's politics. And you probably saw I had a meeting with Ryla not too long ago. I have a great deal of respect for him. I'm excited about the potential of his, potentially running the AU. And that's good for East Africa, probably good for Kenya. So we had a very nice conversation, and I have a lot of respect for him.
So there's also been talk about America is actually doing all these things because they realized that this whole conversation about good governance, corruption, and talking like the big brother to Kenya has actually made Kenya face east and to the detriment somehow of America. Do you think this is now a move that will say, look, we actually are partners and not necessarily looking at you as, small brothers, but we are partners in life? And then what do you say about Kenya's diplomatic relations with the other countries, Russia included?
Yeah. So as I said earlier, I don't think we have, I think you used the word made Kenya face west. That is not at all what happened. I mean, there's completely Kenya's choices. And as I said earlier, I think our objective, my personal objective here, is to work with the United States government policy and resources to give Kenya's choice. And, listen, there are lots of actors here. I think Kenya will interact with many of them. And we just want to make sure that we're showing up with, something that you want to do business with, that we're a country that you want to align yourself with and you want to do business with, whether it's regional peace and security or trade and investment or people-to-people ties. And so my view is, I come from the private sector. We have to be more competitive. We have to be a better offer than other people. So it's not a coercion in any sense of the matter. It's we want to be a better offer.
For the business to thrive, then Kenya needs to be able to have the money to be able to run.
Yes.
Okay. So if you look at the last years, of the years under the Jubilee administration, Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto, there was a lot of, borrowing and saying we need to bring in money so we can expand our infrastructure. And that's why they were going to the commercial market, facing east, talking to China and such. Is there an opportunity for Kenya to have such kind of financial relations with America? Where we say that, yes, there's many projects that are coming, going to be financed long-term by American government so that you can accelerate the infrastructure so that also American companies can come and invest.
Sure. Sure. So we tend to, unlike other countries, we tend to rely on our private sector to make the investments. And whether that is a highway or a road or a factory, we tend to rely on our private sector. We do have a government organization called the Development Finance Corp that will also invest in these projects alongside the private enterprise. But we don't do really government-led lending alone without American companies. And that's probably one of the biggest differences. And I do think there, and this comes back to showing up, that we have to be here to know what those public tenders are, to know what the opportunities are. And I think we can be quite competitive going forward. But I think, one of the challenges Kenya has is, of course, and it's not unlike businesses, when interest rates were effectively zero, money was free. And all of a sudden, interest rates have went up, and I thought interest rates were going to go up 10 years ago. Honestly, it was shocking that we had almost 20 years of near zero rates. And of course, most of the debt in many countries and many businesses is floating rate. And so that creates, big challenges with the cost of debt. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is the cost of debt has gone up quite dramatically from an interest rate perspective, through no fault of the Kenyans.
But it appears also that there is a lot of time taken, A, to make a decision, and B, after that decision is made, to mobilize. An example, a deal was inked between Kenya and the USA for the expansion of the highway between Nairobi and Mombasa. It has never started.
No. That deal actually never got signed. It was with Bechtel and the government of Kenya. And in the end, Bechtel decided not to do it. And, probably they couldn't come. I wasn't here, but I think probably they couldn't come to an agreement. So that's still outstanding. I hope that we have another American company that will be interested in that Mombasa to Nairobi road, because it's an important piece of infrastructure, particularly for the trucks and the goods movement. As you know, 80% of all the goods and services going to East Africa goes through the Port of Mombasa. So that infrastructure, just like the Port of LA and Long Beach or the Port of Seattle, that infrastructure around the port is very important for economic growth and development.
How long do you give it before we start seeing something on the ground with whichever American company?
Yeah. Hard for me to say, because there hasn't been a deal announced yet, but usually from deal announcement to breaking of ground shouldn't be that long, maybe a year or so, and then these things take a number of years to build. I mean, it's a long way from Mombasa to Nairobi, and there's a lot of things that need to be done.
Why would you say, for instance, that some of the world's biggest tech companies, whose origins is in the U.S., have decided to come to Kenya? Set the headquarters here. Why Kenya?
I think that Kenya was the first country on the continent to have a very successful homegrown technology company. It's called M-Pesa. And M-Pesa took a hold here and is truly an extraordinary. M-Pesa, I think their last report was, they processed something like $360 billion worth of payments in 11 countries in Africa. And this revolutionized payments. When I was at eBay, I bought a company called PayPal. So I know digital payments very well. I've never seen anything quite like M-Pesa. I mean, do you know that something like 60% of the GDP of Kenya goes through M-Pesa?
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. You couldn't move in this country without M-Pesa. And so that was a very successful tech company, and that brought lots of engineers. Obviously, it was part of Safaricom, so there was homegrown engineering talent. And when you think about Silicon Savannah or Silicon Valley, there's three ingredients. One is a big tech company that is successful, that then can seed talent to other smaller tech companies. In the Silicon Valley's perspective, it was HP. I mean, for many, many years, almost all the employees at these tech companies started their career at HP. And you're seeing that here in Kenya. They started at Safaricom or M-Pesa. They're now at startups. Second is the venture capital industry. You probably know that Kenya was the single largest destination for startup capital in 2023 on the continent. More startup capital than Nigeria. Sorry about that. No, you're Nigeria.
Yes.
You're Nigeria. More startup capital than Nigeria.
We shall revisit.
And more than South Africa, which is kind of amazing, because those two economies are bigger.
Yeah.
And then finally is connectivity. And Kenya's making real progress on connectivity. And then last, good engineering schools. And Kenya has good engineering schools, whether it's University of Nairobi, whether it's Strathmore, Jomo Kenyatta, or I think a gem that hardly anyone talks about is Dekat University in Nyeri.
Right.
Dedan Kimathi University.
So, I mean, of course, with these relations, then we have to ask an immigration consular question.
Yeah.
And with the great relations, people are going to travel back and forth. So it's easier for Americans to come here than it is for Kenyans to go to the US. And one of the big questions is spousal visas for individuals who may be on the other side and are not able to get their visas for their spouses to join them. And we're not talking about months, we're talking about years for this to happen. What's the holdup?
Yeah. So when I got here, but remember what happened during COVID is no one wanted to go anywhere. And the visa department, the consular department, is funded by visa fees. So during COVID, visa fees went to nothing. So there was no business. So all those consular officers went off into the other parts of the American government. I mean, I'm very pleased that we didn't lay anyone off, but they went and got other jobs. Then, when the demand started to rise again, we had to try to get all those people back. Do you remember when the airlines tried to get up and running? They had to bring the baggage handlers back and the flight attendants back and the pilots back. We had to find all these people to bring them back. When I got here, it was a 2-year wait for an interview.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of business process re-engineering. We got a bit more resources. I put out an all-points bulletin to the embassy. Anyone who's worked in consular in the last 5 years, it's your lucky day. You're coming back to consular to get this under control. And we brought that wait down to 2 years. Then everyone in Kenya figured out they could get visas again, so the demand went back up. We brought that down. And the place that we still are far behind is the spousal visas, and we're working on it. I think there will be good resolution by the end of the year. But I feel badly about the fact that many of these spouses have been separated, families have been separated, and so we're working to get, you probably know there's 8 different kinds of visas to go to the United States. We've made progress on many of them, and we've made progress on that, but not enough.
So are we saying that it is a timing issue?
Yes.
As opposed to a refusal issue?
Oh, it's a timing issue.
Okay.
I mean, we do refuse people for visas for
yes.
very, very good reasons, but that's not the major problem here. It's actually a resource and a processing time issue.
So what would you say to the folks who are waiting and saying, okay, well, it's been 3 years,
Hang in there. We're working on it. We're working on it, and I want to resolve it as fast as we can.
Do you think the cost for an American visa is justified?
I don't set those prices, and so it's hard for me to know. They do support, those visa fees do support a very large organization and a processing capability. And I don't think I had an appreciation as a private American citizen not working in the State Department of the work, the very good work that the Consular Department does. It's a very difficult job. And, you're seeing hundreds of people a day, you're trying to make decisions, and you're very aware of the cost of being wrong. The cost of being wrong and letting in, for example, the 9/11 hijackers. That's a big problem. And so you have to be very thoughtful about, trying to do the right thing, to be fair to people, to be responsive, to be customer service oriented. At the same time, you have to be very thoughtful. About who you let in.
Because what we hear, very many complaints of people who have applied for an American visa. They have endured the long wait. Finally, they get the day to go to the embassy. And just few minutes, they get the wrong slip. And that's it. Their money, their time gone. Without adequate explanation as to why they're not getting the visa. So what do they need to improve on? So one of the issues is there room for an explanation, a better explanation, instead of just giving somebody a slip? And 2, is there room for partial or full refund or the visa fee, application fee?
There isn't room for a partial or full refund on the visa fee. That's just not the way the thing works. But it was a good try. It was a good try. And I think we try to give people a bit of a sense. There are, laws and regulations about what we can say and what we can't say. And the only thing I can say to the Kenyans that are listening to this is I think we have a remarkable team in Consular who are doing the very best job they can. Still under-resourced, by the way. The Consular Department globally is still under-resourced 2 years after COVID. That's how long it takes to train and get all these people back. So I think we're making big progress. Is it where we all want it to be? Not yet, but I think we're making real progress. And I think most Kenyans, at least when I'm around and about, they say, well, at least I was able to get an interview, in a couple of months.
Yeah. Ambassador, I know your team is saying that you have very many other engagements, but just a couple of minutes as we ask the important questions. You mentioned that one of the things that's attracting American investors into Kenya is our power mix. We are going to be 100% green energy. This is the president's commitment. We already passed 90%.
Yeah.
Okay. Are American companies investing in energy sector in Kenya?
Yes.
In what areas?
Yes. So the Capetto wind farm was just got a second round of financing by one very big American PE company, private equity company. And the Capetto, sorry, not Capetto, Turkana wind farm, the Turkana wind farm.
Lake Turkana wind.
The wind farm up there, I think provides about 20% of all electricity in Kenya, and quite good rates. Geothermal. There's going to be, I think, a number of big data centers built in Naivasha or Nakuru because they're so close to, very cost-effective, 5 cents a kilowatt hour geothermal, and then solar. The cost of solar panels is coming down dramatically. And there's many off-grid companies in Kenya that provide solar power to your house. That are off-grid, and those are growing very, very fast. And a lot of people are putting in their own solar panels to reduce the cost of electricity to their home or their business.
Hydrogen.
So green ammonia is taking off here. There's a company called Talus that makes green ammonia that is then utilized for fertilizer. So that is a small but growing industry. And beyond green hydrogen and ammonia, there's I think big potential here, but it's very, very nascent.
Okay. Ambassador Meg Whitman, we thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And it's been, we'd have wanted to stay with you until the top of the hour. Can you? It's just 10 minutes.
I think I probably need to go. I have this little thing called the state dinner that needs
just a small thing.
This needs a few more attention on both sides of the Atlantic.
We'll send you from here with potatoes, with tomatoes, with onions, with carrots, with everything. We know what our Kenyans eat.
Yes.
Okay, so we just send
so
you
I'll
the
take
food.
it with me.
And I'm sure you will not have a problem passing through the airport.
Into the States.
Right.
Thank you very much for joining
Nice
us.
to see you all. Appreciate it.
Your final message to Kenyans as we mark these 60 years of, diplomatic relations, Kenya and America, and what Kenya has been viewing America to be, and what America has been viewing Kenya as.
Yeah. Well, I think we have a great partnership, and there's lots more ahead. I think lots of economic growth and development, lots of joint efforts on regional peace and security and on healthcare. Tuberculosis still needs work, malaria still needs work, so I think lots of things ahead, and it's built on, I think, fundamental trust and a fundamental good relationship between the American people and the people of Kenya. And thanks to the people of Kenya for the nice, warm welcome that I've gotten since I've been here. I really appreciate that.
Margaret Meg Whitman is the U.S. ambassador to Kenya and Kenya's chief marketing officer to the USA. She's been our guest this morning as she prepares for this state visit by Kenya President William Ruto to the USA. He didn't tell us actually what's the program. So the president
it's a long program.
Apart from the dinner.
Yeah.
What
Well,
else?
the president's going to Atlanta for 2 days.
What's that?
Before Atlanta, and there's a number of different engagements in Atlanta. Atlanta is a very big American city that is now home to a very high percentage of Fortune 500 companies. Whether it's agriculture, it's a technology hub, it's a creative economy hub. A lot of the Los Angeles film, television, music has moved to Atlanta. So Atlanta is a very vibrant part of the country. So we thought it would be great to go there. And then on Wednesday, we go up to D.C., and there's a whole set of events there that I'm sure we'll share with you. I'm sure you're sending someone or some people to follow the state visit, yeah?
Yes.
An entire battalion. Well, thank you.
We'll
very
take
much for
good care of you.
Asante sana.
Asante sana.
Spice up your life. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start.
Patrick Lodge, Otieno Lumumba. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
CT Muga.
CT Lodge.
Muga, not Muga. He's here, and here's the day's proverb.
One man marries a woman, another man marries trouble. Is he the same man?
Spice.
A lion cannot eat
more than 2 donkeys. It would die a natural death because there is no ICU in the forest. In Kenya, it has become the situation that you cannot conduct 2 elections. In fact,
with the same
Bukati,
IBC.
You can't.
I tell you about this Indian friend of mine who was enjoying other Indians in the group. He wrote the word valve and told them, read it.
So how did he say it? I really want to know.
The valve. Kina Edna, it's like you said, the bees are the peas. Kila kitu mkisia kisema atasema opposite.
Opposite?
Ukisema yeye anasema opposite. Opposite. Ukisikiliza namna hii unasikia opposite.
The Situation Room, Spice. The only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives the real situation in the Situation Room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Nduthai, nice meeting you. Even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again. Character is like pregnancy. You cannot hide it. You know, people hiding here and there, you know, but after 2, 3 months, 5 months, now you realize, so that is why the attitude that you were showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say. You cannot pickpocket a naked man.
How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment. The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in
Ben Low, Ninter, Yeninter, Ayu Makati Kadikta. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. You know, sweating is biblical. Good. And you must blame it on Adam, not me. You know, because Adam messed up and he was told, now you fellow you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Spice up your life. The weather with Spice FM.
It's 18 degrees. We'll see highs of 24 and lows of 15. We'll see lows of 15 in a sunny Nakuru at 19, and it's 19 and sunny in Nyeri, going to highs of 25. We'll also see highs of 25 in Eldoret, where it's currently sunny at 18. Mombasa sunny at 28, and Malindi at 29 is sunny as well. Sunny at 24 in Kisumu, and sunny conditions at 24 in Kakamega. We're looking into a sunny Kampala at 24 and 27 and sunny in Dar es Salaam, while into Johannesburg it's sunny at 14, and Mogadishu is sunny at 30, with Addis Ababa sunny at 20. It's sunny at 28 in Lagos, and mostly cloudy at 24 in Kinshasa.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
With Meg Whitman, the ambassador, we had to cut it short because, well, ambassador ako busy sana na watu wake wanasema anaenda sijui wapi.
Shughuli mingi.
Shughuli mingi. Yeah. Okay, but what do you make of it, City?
Well, the ambassador responded to the questions well. Very, very well indeed. I did not expect a representative of her country or their country not to respond to questions in a manner that puts their country in a positive light. But the thing is, she didn't avoid answering the questions.
Yep.
She answered them directly.
Yep.
Yes.
She doesn't, you know,
no, she didn't politicize
around the issue.
Didn't politicize the responses. just told you it is this or it is not this, and it is this, and this is what we think, this is what we'd like to do.
Yep.
But that subject of corruption, I sometimes think that when our Western
friends,
yes,
let's call them friends.
Okay.
Let's call them friends and relatives, their understanding of corruption may be profound and it may even be precise. But the interests that they have, or the interest that is represented in our country, makes it impossible for them to talk about it publicly as they could. Because, you see, in my mind, when I look at the cost of doing business in this country, as a Kenyan, it's very difficult. Forget the taxes. The taxes are okay. If you want to get business done, say with the county government, it's not a question of being qualified or being able to do it. No, what it will cost you in terms of what else is wanted, in terms of Kenya shillings, it makes it very, very difficult. Yes. And after you've done the job, there's getting your money. Yes. Same with national government. So when it comes to even somebody wanting to do business on the scale that the investors want, I am certain that there are very many people who would like to do business. But part of the problem of doing that business is that cost of doing business that we never talk about in public is a hindrance.
That's true. It's a hindrance.
Yes.
But you know what? Honestly, I think I like this approach by this ambassador in the relations between the two countries.
Yes.
Okay. So you can sit there and make this whole talk about corruption be the center of your conversations on a daily basis.
Yes.
What that does, there are people who will be sitting, depending on what side of the political divide they are, there are those who will be happy about it, there are those who will not be happy about it. Those who are happy about it, they're happy because you're bashing their opponent.
But does it actually help at the end of the day?
But they are not, it's not that they really care about the corruption and the talk.
Not really.
It's that because you seem to be playing, you're cheering from their end of the stadium.
Yes, you are.
And then when they get into the pitch and you still say the same thing, of course their conversation changes. But that whole corruption still continues. And the other opportunities that then people should be focusing on and looking at as they fight corruption are missed. If you look at this particular conversation and what Ambassador Meg Whitman has done in the last couple of years is, so where are the opportunities? How many times has she been to the EPZ, at those EPZ clothes textiles companies, and talking about, so this new one has come up, these are 20,000 jobs, this new one has come up. Now, because of the presence of the US ambassador, where we know that these clothes that you're stitching here are going to US markets, because of that, because of everything else that's happening, it means that those who are investing in this EPZ know, America actually has eyes in what we are doing inside the factory.
Yes.
So if there's going to be, and you keep seeing them once in a while, if there's going to be a strike by workers of an EPZ because of poor pay, because of mistreatment, it's spotlight directly. The ambassador knows about it. Then so they know, we need to play by the books. In the end, it benefits the 20,000, the 10,000, the 5,000 people who are employed there, because that company knows, I've got to play by the books. So ambassador atakuja hapa, I know. I had chalked this in as 5,000 jobs that we have brought to Kenya, and what are you guys doing, right? So that's a positive. If you look at then saying, the president of Microsoft, the guy who's second to Bill Gates, the one who's now running Microsoft, was in Kenya.
It tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Bigly. The boss of Google has come to Kenya. And then they say, so we are focusing our investment here, we are doing this and the other. What does it do to the young men and women who are in tech? The opportunities.
And then pushing and saying, how seriously are they being taken on this other side? How seriously will you take that and do something with it? Because we know development is not going to come from taxes. Development is going to come from you making a surplus or profit on the things that you manufacture and build. That's what's going to happen. How serious are we taking it?
And also that this Western Hemisphere that we speak of, it's Western.
That's exactly what they did,
Yes, precisely. And America is the leader. What America does, people follow.
Others follow.
So if you have a big industry, a big tech boss coming here, people look and say, wait a moment, This guy is endorsing these people. For him to come and talk business, and they've set shop here.
Yep.
They're saying, man, this place is okay.
Apple guy has been here. Google guy has been here.
Yes.
Microsoft guy has been here.
Yes.
All in a span of 15, 16 months.
Yes.
There's something big that's happening in this country.
Precisely.
So what is it?
So other people fall in line and they realize, okay, perhaps we need to relook.
Yep. At how we relate to these guys.
Exactly.
Let's get to the news. It's 9 a.m. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
Good morning. This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto will later today preside over recruits pass-out parade at the Defence Forces Recruits Training School in Uasin Gishu County. The pass-out parade follows a 6-month training of new Kenya Defence Forces personnel. During the period, recruits undergo an intense training where they are subjected to rigorous evaluation, tests and assessments in various military disciplines as individuals and groups. The Kenyan government will take all necessary measures to ensure a Kenyan man facing execution in Saudi Arabia returns to his family. This is according to Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary Korir Sing'oei. P.S. Sing'oei, in a statement on X, said he met Dorothy Kweyu, mother to Stephen Bertrand Munyaho, who is stuck in a Saudi prison. The update comes just a day after Saudi Arabia agreed to Kenya's request to postpone the impending execution of the Kenyan citizen. Munyaho, who has since been named Abdul Karim, has spent 13 years in different Saudi prisons and was due to be executed on Wednesday, May 15th. Police in Migori County have arrested 3 suspects linked to the death of a 42-year-old businesswoman who was killed at Chamgiwadu Trading Center in Rongo Sub-County on the night of May 4th, 2024. Rongo Sub-County Police Commander Salim Fundi said the 3 suspects are in police custody, adding that a manhunt is underway for more suspects. A police commander vowed to ensure that anyone linked to the murder of Elizabeth Anyango is arrested and apprehended accordingly. Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has assured parents and learners that the city's Dishina County school feeding program will not be affected by the national government's plan to do away with school feeding programs. This comes after the National Treasury proposed to scrap off allocation to the school feeding program in the 2024-2025 financial year budget estimates. This sparked uproar among members of parliament who expressed fear that the move would affect 4.5 million learners. A legal dispute has brewed between St. Bakita schools and a section of parents after a hike in fees. Justice Christine Meoli scheduled a hearing for the case on May 27th. The disagreement stems from the school's management's decision to revise fees upwards and a failure to agree with parents over the plans. Now, when Donald Trump's criminal trial began, his courtroom entourage consisted of a gaggle of lawyers and campaign aides. This week, it started to look more like a preview of July's Republican National Convention. With Michael Cohen, Mr. Trump's former lawyer and pivotal witness for the prosecution, on stand, the number of prominent Republicans office holders in attendance has expanded dramatically. Tuesday, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, the top Republican in the U.S., met the former president at the courthouse in Manhattan, greeting him with a smile and a nod. Then, while the hush money trial was still ongoing, he gave a brief statement to the press outside, saying he was disgusted by what was going on. Trump denies 34 counts of falsifying business records related to a hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 presidential campaign. New York prosecutors are using a novel legal theory to argue that the alleged cover-up amounts to election interference. Gunmen wearing balaclavas ambushed a prison van in northern France Tuesday to free a drug dealer known as The Fly, killing 2 prison guards, severely wounding 3 and triggering a major police manhunt. The brazen planned attack underlines the growing threat of drug crime across Europe, the world's #1 cocaine market. It took place around 9 a.m. at a toll booth in Incaville in the Euro region of northern France. The fugitive inmate named Mohamed Amra is a 30-year-old drug drug dealer from Northern France, according to the Paris prosecutor's office and police sources. He had been convicted of burglary by a court in Erex on May 10th and was being held at the Val de Roule prison. This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto, good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, what's happening where you are this morning? On the streets of Nairobi, not much actually. We've got some traffic on Limuru Road. It's quite heavy as you're coming towards the city. And then whatever was happening on the Thika Superhighway dissipated until you get to that survey area. But then look at Murang'a Road. Not quite sure what's going on there, but a lot of traffic getting towards the Globe Cinema roundabout. And that is already crazy. It's uber crazy right now. Okay, coming off Langata Road, you're going to get to Aerodrome and you're really stuck as you get then onto Huru Highway. There's traffic on Raila Odinga Way. It's all connecting with what's coming off of Ngong Road, and so that's really busy all over the place. Looking on this other side of things, on the eastern part of the city, Jogo Road leading to Landis. Landis from the City Stadium roundabout all the way to the Kamkunji roundabout is bumper to bumper and another bumper. All right, keeping an eye on things. We're still in traffic hour. Let's see what happens in a short while. We'll talk SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Hiya, Basi. It's 7 minutes after 9. On to the final hour of The Situation Room this morning. Cervical cancer is a big thing.
Yes, it is.
Ah, yes.
A very big thing in the country today. And we're talking about the number 2 killer in terms of cancers. 9 women die every day from cervical cancer.
You know, that's a very high number.
That's a very high number. That's what we're talking about.
As in, by the end of day today, 9 women will have died.
Yes.
And they've had cervical cancer.
Yes, they have.
And many of them did not know they had it until it was too late.
That's why it's called the silent killer, because of 2 things. 1, where it is, and number 2, that it doesn't present with many symptoms until you're well into a number of stages. And that is why we are urging and saying that screening is something that we should all take very, very seriously. And it's not just the woman. By virtue of the fact that she has a cervix, she will get the cancer if that happens. But not just because you're a woman, but those that are around her as well can encourage for early screening, right? It's a serious disease. In Kenya, we're looking at the HPV vaccine, which has been made available by the government. And we're saying, you know what? From the age of 10 to 14, girls can actually go in and get the 2 doses of the vaccine 6 months apart. So you get it this month in May. The next time we want you to take it is in November. All right? So a card will also be issued to all girls that have been vaccinated, so you can get the date as to which you're supposed to come back to get the second dose. And guess what? It's free.
All right.
And this is including everything that you would need for getting this, right? There are also cases whereby older women then can also come in and get a vaccine. But it's most protected for these girls between 10 and 14. So come out, get it at no cost, get it 6 months apart, and at least be sure that you've protected yourself to a certain degree from getting cervical cancer. Stop cervical cancer. I am vaccinated.
eteams.kra.go.ke or ecitizen.kra.go.ke is an easy way of getting yourself registered for the electronic tax invoice management system. Because
you know, this narrative of when you pay taxes, you don't know what your taxes do. Actually, your taxes do a great deal. You may not think so, but they do. When you talk of nation building, it's taxes that build the nation.
Yeah.
when you want to streamline and understand processes by which not only you do business, but by which you contribute to nation building, as I've said, e-Teams happens to be just one of those fine methods by which you can do this. Simply go to your computer, go to your phone, star 222 hash. You'll have an array of options. Choose KRA. When you've chosen KRA, click on it.
Bas.
When you click on it, you'll then be told, well, there's this thing called an invoice, and you require certain details. One, the PIN number of the people you're doing business with. That's it. A name will pop up. When that name pops up, you can determine, is this really the people I'm doing business with, or is it some other? If you probably missed a number or added a number, you can always try again. But once this has happened, and you filled in the details, your job is actually done.
That's it.
That's it. It's not really complicated. Yes.
That's it. It's basically just a requirement. It's a requirement of the law now that you generate tax invoices. And now this e-Teams is very important for companies that are, or individuals that are not VAT registered.
Yes.
I know why. Because we're talking about income tax here. So many times you'd hear that if you are dealing with a big company and you're VAT registered, then you're required to produce an ETR on your invoicing. But now they're saying even the smaller businesses that are not VAT registered, they don't have a VAT obligation because they don't meet the threshold to be VAT registered. Even those ones need to do this. Not that you're now going to start billing VAT. No. You will still not add VAT into your invoice. It is just an income invoice. Okay? It's just showing that I have traded with this entity and this was the nature of the trade and this is the amount that I'm billing. That's it. That is all. Okay? So if you are not VAT registered, then you need to get onto ecitizen.kra.go.ke, register for the e-Teams, or you can do so via the USSD code star 222 hash. Manu is playing tonight.
Yes, they are. Do you want to watch it? Even if you register today, 500 shillings, you can watch Manu play tonight. Imagine today, not any other day. As per, if you pay before the match begins, you will be watching that match today.
Yes.
And they're actually playing Newcastle tonight. That's what's happening. So how do you do that? Well, you log on to www.showmax.com, or you can download the Showmax app on your Google App Store or your Apple Play. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Your Google Play Store, your Apple App Store. Switch things up. You never know what's coming.
Right. You mentioned Google, you mentioned Apple, you're good.
All inside.
The others are store.
Don't worry. It's all Shabina store. Store. So you get into that. And you pay 500 shillings and you can watch Premier League live matches. Not the one that they recorded and somebody's talking and saying, goalkeeper caught the ball and has thrown it, defender has taken it to her. No. This one, you watch it. Watch it live. Sure you get.
Kadenge Nampira.
That one. No, not Kadenge Nampira. This one, you watch it live. You can watch it on your phone. You can watch it on your tab. You can watch it on your computer. You can watch it on your laptop. You can watch it on your television. You can actually take it on the go. Doesn't really matter where you are. So long as you've done the what? You've registered and done what? You've paid. This is the fantastic upgraded streaming platform that is Showmax.
And beyond football?
Eco series. And then there are movies. That is what City is going to do this weekend.
Yes.
He's ready. He already knows the one that he wants to watch.
But Sunday City, we are watching Arsenal.
Sunday, Arsenal is playing. Please, can we hear? Arsenal is playing.
Who are they playing again?
Everton. On Sunday.
Our final match of the season. All right?
If they win it,
we're
what
going to take
happens?
this thing to the wire. We win it, it's good.
We win it, the
Man U loses.
So I should watch the Man U match as well?
No, Man City, rather. Man City on Sunday.
So I should watch the Man City match also?
Yeah. So Man City is playing
and
West
as I'm
Ham.
watching, I should pray they don't win.
Man City playing West Ham on Sunday.
In order for Eric to
Arsenal
come here
playing.
on Monday morning smiling, Man City must lose to West Ham and Arsenal must beat Everton. Do you see? That has to happen. If not, your Monday is spoiled.
Okay.
Let me tell you the different way of looking at this thing. So there's that bagger that we have said, persona non grata, coming to Kenya, Pep Guardiola. We do not want that guy. That guy is the one who coached our coach, Pep. What's his name, our guy? Not Arsene Wenger, our current coach, Mikel Arteta.
Annoyed you like that. The thing is,
Mikel Arteta is our current manager. He worked as Pep's assistant in Man City. Okay, one would have thought, unaweza chia your protege, shinde kamoja, But
And so you
forget
know
about
how
it.
he thinks, you know how he...
Now, before Arteta played for Arsenal, he had played for Everton.
Played?
Yes.
Football?
Played
The game.
football. He was a player.
Before he became coach, he was a football player?
He played in Everton. He came to Arsenal. Then he went and eventually became a manager and came back to Arsenal as a manager.
He went to school and became manager.
Okay? We are playing at Everton on Sunday.
You see?
Arteta played for Everton and Arsenal.
And now he's coaching
managing Arsenal and will be playing the final game of the season against Everton.
his old team.
Okay? So that's one side. Put that on the side.
Okay.
The other side.
I park it here.
Back on the day when Arteta was playing for Everton, his manager was called Moyes. Okay?
Moyes.
David Moyes. David Moyes currently is a manager for West Ham United. West Ham United will be playing Man City on Sunday. Are you seeing? I don't know whether you're seeing this thing, right?
City.
Yeah.
And imagine, I just have to tell you with finality, if you want to see all of this drama unfold, Shika Showmax.
All of it. So I'll see Moyes and all these other people.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Shika who?
Showmax.
Thank you very much.
What's the day's proverb, City?
Today's proverb is, I'm going to change it. Because, at this rate, I mean, the proverb was clear.
I don't understand.
It is only when the flood is gone that you can claim to be lucky. But it appears like it's only when Arsenal wins.
Okay.
If only.
It's only when Man City loses that you can say you're lucky.
That's according to Eric. Yeah. But floods gone, only then.
That's when you realize.
Say Abbas enyewe.
Inimeepuka.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not before.
When it's still raining, there's a possibility of a flood. You cannot sit back and say,
And even when the weatherman tells you, well, we are now more or less, we think perhaps through with rain, but there's still areas where we will experience rain. That one.
I have a very good application of that proverb.
Yes.
Give it to Pep Guardiola.
Yes.
It's only after the final whistle that you can say you have won that title.
It's only after the final whistle.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Basi.
Yes.
Sawa basi.
Anyway.
You know myself watching football.
Because
of this kind of thing, Abi.
Yeah, man. Palpitations. You can't even think. But also,
it's called quality of life.
There's a guy called Arsene Wenger. Okay? Good coach. I started watching him Kitambo. Then there's another guy called Ferguson, whom they even knighted.
Yes, they did. Sir Alex.
Yes. After that,
it was over for you.
Today, I've been told about Pep.
Yes.
Okay, so now
and not the Pep you're thinking about for faces Kisumu.
No, not in the line of work I used to do. I know the guy called Moyes.
Yes.
Okay, he's just one person, but it's called Moyes. Okay, so I keep learning.
And
there's a very big Viking.
There's
a big Viking who plays for Man City.
Okay.
Okay, so
Thank you. Called Haaland. So now, the headline in today's Nation was talking about what's happening. There's a crisis. When the Senate and the National Assembly do not agree on a matter, what happens? It's taken to mediation.
Yes.
Who is a mediator?
That's the thing. Right? So, the chronology of things. We are in the budget making cycle, right?
Yes, we
are coming up to a new budget. The national budget for the next financial year is, targeted to be around 3.9 trillion shillings, which is, some very, very good work done by the administration, because they said, we are cutting it back by 300 billion shillings. They wanted to spend 4.2 trillion shillings in the next financial year, but then they decided, it has rained. So you what? Let's just bring it down to 3.9 trillion shillings, which is an increase from the current 3.6 trillion. Now, as the various factors and actors play into what goes into the next budget, one of the crucial ones is the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, which is chaired by the Deputy President, which brings in the Council of Governors, brings in the National Treasury CS, brings in the other CSs, and they say, okay, let's talk about the division of revenue. How much money is going to be the equitable share that goes to the devolved units in the next financial year? Okay? Now, this conversation over time has started getting murkier and murkier. Remember, last 2 years ago, there was an entire standoff in the Senate about the distribution of this money.
Yes.
First of all was the amount that is coming in as the shareable
share.
revenue,
Yes.
and then how it's going to be divvied up within the counties.
Well.
Okay? Conversation. President Uhuru says, okay, guys, all right, so let's do this. How about we just increase nominally this amount for this year, so then more counties can get a bit more money, and then the next year we increase again, right? Like that.
Incrementally.
William Ruto becomes president, and his first budget was last year. He says, okay, so how about we make this, we can't, counties were saying, okay, let us get to at least 420 billion shillings.
Yes, at least.
420 billion shillings. The Commission on Revenue Allocation says, actually, maybe 410 billion shillings. The national government says 390. Hiyo ndio pesa iko. Mbele na nyuma haki ya Mungu sina pesa ingine.
And they kept saying it. We don't have another money, even if you do what,
even
and
if you remove our pants and whip us.
Yeah,
We don't, hatuna shilingi ingine mbele na nyuma. Hii ndio pesa iko. Haki, angalia. Okay? The whole standoff, hey, how much? National government stuck to its guns, and the amount that had been said is what ended up as the higher. Sasa, in this next financial year, President William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza administration's second budget, they have looked at, the work that devolution does, the importance of devolution. And we've been talking the last 1 year, we've been talking about, devolving more functions as required by the Constitution, and making sure that those more functions then now go to the counties, and counties take up more functions. And all these things, and the national government sees and says, let's have this conversation. National government proposes, let's increase the shareable revenue to counties by 5 billion shillings for the next financial year. So, because you're dear pesa iko. We are doing, it is called fiscal consolidation. We
tightening the belt.
Tightening the belt. We are living within our means.
Okay.
Hakuna pesa ingine. Haki pesa itatoka wapi? Hatuna. Okay? It goes to the Senate. Senate is like, you guys are joking.
Jokers.
5B only. No, at least let's increase by 25B. So Senate votes to change that and increase by 25 billion shillings. For them to make that amendment, it has to go back to the National Assembly where the bill originated, for the National Assembly to concur.
Yes.
National Assembly.
Conquer what? Conquer who? We'll conquer you.
Wakasema nothing.
Never.
We are not changing hata penny moja. Because we are not giving these governors. They're just corruption. They are corruption. We are not giving them.
Otherwise known as that corruption. Otherwise known as, wait a minute, if we give you this 25 billion that you're asking,
where is it going to come from?
Where is it going to come from? Now, they've opened their eyes in the two individuals who spoke on the floor of the House. Let me tell you where this money is going to come from. You see that NGCDF that you people tout everywhere and say that this is what you want to use to do ABCD. Hapo ndio tunatoa pesa. We put it at the counties. Now you tell me, come 2027, when you want to come and talk to your constituents and tell them that, I'm going to build a road, I'm going to build a dormitory, I'm going to do this for you, and you won't have the money, they'll look at you and say, Joker, get out. You're not doing anything for us. Where's the money to do it? Do you really want to be in that situation come 2027 when your people are asking you, should we put you back? And you're also asking them, please give me your vote. That is where the money is going to come from. So, as they say, where I come from, you better shine your eye very well, because if you do, people will not bring you back. So, this is where the money is going to come from, in case you don't know. NGCDF, itakatwa. That's where money will come from. So, if I were you, my dear members of parliament, what would I do?
I would
shut this thing down. Object conclusively.
And there's a lot of noise about it, wasn't there?
Properly. Did you watch the debates that took place in the House yesterday?
Now
it was very
it's gone
clear.
back to the Senate.
Yeah.
Senate
Went back to the Senate.
Your brothers have refused. What did the senators say?
Senate said there is only one sober house in this government.
We know which one it's not.
And we know which one is not. I want you to nullify that embarrassment that has come from the National Assembly. These are the words that were being spoken. Until the Speaker of the Senate had to say, Speaker Amason King, he had to say, guys, please, We don't want to pit ourselves one against another. But the senators rose up and said, but that's exactly what is happening here. We are trying to secure...
We didn't start this fight.
No. And here we are in our rights.
It was brought to us. What are we
the people
supposed
who
to do?
started the fight are the ones you should be telling that, Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Speaker. Now, what we are saying essentially is that we are the vanguards of devolution. And what is happening with this money being cut is that devolution is being compromised. And under our watch, it can never happen. So you should tell them, the people who started rabble-rousing, tell them to drop their tools. It should not be a thing of a war between the houses. Senators told them, what do you mean it should not be? It already is. And that is where we are today.
Would you say that we are in a season where many Damascus moments are occurring? I'm going to explain why. The deputy president did, this was not an about 10, this one was a twist. Okay? The very things that he had spoken against when the immediate former president mentioned and said, folks, you know, we need to, it's important. This 1 shilling, 1 man, 1 vote, blah, 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 blah. Let's add a few constituencies here to commensurate with the population we have. Unfortunately, it was in the BBI. This never. And indeed, the courts agreed and said, never. Okay? You then find yourself in a position where you are a leader of a community, apart from being the deputy president of the same community that the immediate former president could have been said to have been leader of, though he was the president of the country, isn't it? And suddenly you find, here, this is what the guy was saying. It makes a lot of sense. Then you come to the Senate. Why does the Senate find itself in this position where it's fairly toothless? If you go back into history, and by the way, since it's a 2010 constitution, you don't have to go
very far
to 1945. No, just the other day here. When these decisions were being made, did people consider that they themselves might find themselves in this unfortunate position where they are bearing the brunt of decisions that were made by people who thought, because at that point in time it didn't refer to them?
Unfortunately not, because usually when you're making such decisions, you pass your nose.
Yes. Because many of these MP types at some point will want to be governors. Okay? Do they see that when they are governors, they'll be looking at this thing rather differently? And what is being asked for here is not really outside the law. No one is asking for something that is completely off the charts. But more importantly, there's this individual called the Mwananchi. Okay? The previous government, it was said, did not really care for the interests of the Mwananchi. But this particular government, when they were seeking to be elected, said they are the ones who actually care.
Yeah.
In fact, they care for the most common denominator called the hustler. Okay? So here we are. If more money is given to counties in the spirit of devolution, are you there or not saying that the very people who should get this money, it's a country, yes, but they're nestled in counties and then constituencies. Now, there's this little thing called the truth. Okay? Even as you're politicking, there's something called the truth.
Yeah.
When money is allocated to counties, we understand it's because of the devolved units that we have and also the devolved functions, isn't it?
Yes.
But it's a conversation that we've had for the longest time. The enabling factor called money has never met or have never agreed with some of these functions. Health, for instance. So when somebody asks for money, the question you're asking is, you want these particular units called the counties to be able to take care of all manner of things. Money, yes, was allocated, but they didn't get all of it. Now, surely, if they got more of what it is that they're supposed to get, how would that actually affect CDF, GAF, whatever else you want to say? How could it possibly? Because the money has already been allocated.
There you go. And that's the element of truth that you bring in. And that's why, unfortunately, processes like this that are actually supposed to see towards the devolution and empowerment of communities, see towards devolution through the empowerment of communities, then has been politicized to the point whereby you're being told, ni pesa yako. Meanwhile, what were we told here?
It's absolute nonsense.
It's nonsense. What were we told here?
CDF.
That these members of parliament even have no oversight authority in terms of management of that fund.
Yeah.
Nothing. They're not involved in it anyway.
No. It functions without them.
They should not be.
They should not be.
Yeah.
Okay? But then here you are making an argument legislatively over something for which you have zero control over.
But also over something which is actually anchored. The CDF is not that they go and negotiate how much are you giving us for CDF.
It's stipulated.
It's actually
set.
clear. So we have the X amount of money is going to CDF in this year. It's a percentage of the budget. Okay?
Yes.
It's there. Now, there's a conversation that then this whole issue brings in, which is last year around April when we had that interview with the president. I asked him the question because even then the national government was only insisting on the amount of money that they insisted on, which was 370 something, right? Billion shillings.
Yes.
Okay. But then the president said, actually, the money that's going to counties is 412 billion shillings. Because the rest of the money is going in as conditional grants. So we are putting in money as the national government conditional grant for building of markets. We are putting in money as conditional grants for building of the integrated industrial parks. Right? We are putting in money as conditional grants for this and the other. So cumulatively, the money that ends up going to counties is 400 plus billion shillings. A crucial piece of legislation was passed in the National Assembly and the Senate 2 months ago, which now entrenches how money can be ring-fenced when it's going for conditional grants into the counties. Now, this one was a big one because even when donors were giving money to counties, they were afraid, if I give you money, you may actually just end up putting that money into another project. I need a legal framework that ring-fences this money. Sawa. Okay, sawa. So this law was passed. What I see happening here is the national government, the presidency insisting on let's keep this money that goes as equitable share at this level, will increase the conditional grants that comes to you, which will be you implementing our projects. I am interested in seeing the county aggregation and integration parks being established across the 47 counties. I'm putting money towards that. I am interested in seeing the community health promoters being employed across the county. I'm putting money towards that. I am interested in seeing more markets being built across the county. I'm putting money towards that. I'm interested in seeing this and health services. I'm putting money towards that. This is the national government running county functions.
Yes.
And dictating how counties shall run those functions.
Yes.
This is a direct clawback on the objects of devolution.
Yes.
Because this is the national government trying to now start dictating what projects counties take.
Yes.
Which means that the national government is doing county functions, right, by using counties as proxies, which means the national government is taking back devolution.
They are taking back devolution.
Simple.
Yes, and the National Assembly seems to be supporting them.
Oh, right. So that together, forget about them. Yes. People who don't even have time to read the law to know what's contained in the law.
Something as fundamental as a finance bill.
Yeah.
Something that really impacts the lives of the people these members of parliament represent.
Yep.
And you're telling us it's something that you give a cursory glance and you think, well, since we've been told it's okay. What do you mean? Those things impact you, impact the people very, very, very directly. This one moment, forget the other moments when you're debating and trying to determine what bills to pass. This one moment is the one time when your constituents would actually like to see the amount of effort you're putting in. Yes, to ensure that this thing serves their interests as well. And the thing you do is not to give it the attention it deserves.
Yep. It's a clawback. Is this administration clawing back on devolution? Is this a direct attempt? We saw a bit of it in the previous administration. This one, by the second budget, they're only increasing the amount that is going as equitable share by 5 billion shillings.
Yes.
While the national budget is increasing by 300 billion shillings.
Surely. How are they working that one out?
What is that? How clear can that message get? What do you think about devolution? This is what we think about devolution.
Yeah, essentially, we're going to stifle it.
Yeah. Want to hear from you after the break. 0719-012-600. Is devolution under threat? Is devolution under threat? At what ages of girls are getting the free HPV vaccine?
So it's 10 to 14, but health experts have told us that as early as 9 to 14. So cervical cancer is caused by the human papilloma virus, and cervical cancer then presents probably not until it's reached into the later stages, and that's why it's called the silent killer. Silent killer, and also is killing 9 women in Kenya every day. So what can you do to prevent this in the future? A vaccine. A vaccine is being offered to the girls between 10 and 14. It's been provided by the government at no cost, so you can walk into an immunization center today and get that. What does that mean? You also get a card to remind you that 6 months after your first dose, you should come and get the second one. We can stop cervical cancer. I am vaccinated.
City, what's the USSD code for the e-citizen eTIMS platform?
Yeah, SITA.
Right.
2 hash.
Bas. That's it.
That's it.
Get onto that, register or get into that and generate an eTIMS invoice, and then you can send to whoever. Remember, today, Manu. Tomorrow, Sunday, closure. Sunday, final games. EPL. You want to watch it? 500 shillings. Showmax.com.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery and violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, where are we when we're coming out of traffic hour this morning? We're all right getting onto Mombasa Road, and that's coming all the way from Syokimau out from even further on Mlolongo, then out towards Huru Highway. All of that is not looking too bad until you get to that straight that comes in from GPO heading out towards Westlands, and also then coming in from museums through towards University of Nairobi turnoff. There's some action there. Also, coming through towards the Globe Cinema roundabout is very, very busy. Then on the Thika Superhighway, just as you approach the underpass heading out to the city, that is also busy as well. Apart from that, I think we're doing all right coming out of traffic hour. Let's see what happens through Wednesday. We'll talk, won't we, on SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, let's hear from you. 0719-012-600. From what we are seeing now, so the national government insists on only 395 billion shillings going to counties as equitable revenue share, and the Senate insisting, no, come on, let's at least get to the 400 billion mark. And now there's a standoff between those two. It has to go to mediation. Is the government clawing back on devolution? Joel in Kericho.
Salama sana Eric, habari ya masiku bwana.
Mambo iko safi kabisa, ni aje?
Salama sana Eric, salimia wenzako hapo.
Wenzangu wamesalimika sana.
Thank you very much Joel.
Leo Joel.
Sasa mambo na devolution hapa Eric in fact niko 100% na National Assembly, naunga mkono kabisa. Kwa sababu hapa ground hakuna kitu inaonekana my friend.
What do you mean?
Kama Kericho tunapewa hapa ya karibu 7 billion. 7.1 billion. Lakini hakuna kitu inaendelea.
Hakuna kitu aje bwana. Hakuna hospitali.
Hakuna kitu inaendelea, hakuna madawa kwenye hospitali. You know, saa hii sio ilikuwa imeplow wakati wa flash. Sasa vijana waende wasaidia. No? So ile kitu nataka tu ni kwamba hizi makaunti kwanza zivunjiliwe mbali kabisa.
So unataka devolution iishe?
Ivunjwe, alafu turudi kwa ile mambo ya CDF. CDF at least kazi yao inaonekana.
Kazi gani imeonekana huko kwenu?
Kwa CDF.
Your constituency is which one? Ainamoi?
Ainamoi, yes, Ainamoi. Zile mashule zimejengwa inaonekana. Baadhi ya watoto wamepewa.
Shule gani imejengwa na CDF?
CDF? Mingi sana my friend, mingi. Mingi sana, zinaonekana hata raia wanaona, hata pesa za basari zinaenda kwa shule. So zile za kaunti sioni chochote, hata kama na mwenyewe hatuionekani. Akionekana anaonekana ile jamaa yake ya kusukuma watu.
Joel, are you trying to say for real that the county government, from what you can see,
there's nothing hata mjaribu nothing. Jaribu mtembe muangalie.
Joel, you know there's nothing and then there's nothing. You're saying nothing completely. You can't see anything in the county. Which county is this? First of all? Kericho County. You're saying like now, Governor Mutai, from let's even say last year till now, and the previous governor, absolutely nothing has taken place?
Alipaka rangi tu kaunti kama Nairobi sasa wakati president alikuwa anakuja kufanya mashujaa hapa Kericho. Hiyo ndio naweza kuambia inaonekana. Asante sana.
Joel. Okay, let's hear from you. 0719-012-600. So Joel thinks, in fact, let's just go back. This whole concept of devolution.
Forget about it.
Let's return.
But you know, do you have another caller? I can tell you what I wanted to tell you.
Tell me what you want to tell me.
You know, there are people today who will tell you, if not for the county government, at least you've seen county headquarters structure standing somewhere in a town in some county, that because of devolution, at least they've seen that. And then because of devolution, my older brother, who would have gone to waste in the village, now has a job at the county. We've seen that an EDC has been built. Remember, it is county function, ECD, to build and operate such schools.
Yes.
That if not for county governments, we would not have seen some of the things that we've seen in the last 10 years.
Joel does not see. Let's hear Frida. Frida, what do you think?
Hello, City. Thank you for the conversation. I think Joel has a point. Because currently we can say devolution has devolved corruption. And now people are just amassing wealth for themselves. And the key question is, how do you manage a county when you're residing in Nairobi? Rarely do people see you. So when will you get to understand their issues? Because when they are looking for you, you're in Nairobi. Look at these floods. People have been affected. How many governors, how many even MPs have gone back in their village to see the impact of the floods to the citizens?
The governors are in those areas. The governor of Nairobi is on the ground. The governor of Nakuru is on the ground.
Yeah, but when you go there, you'll be shocked. In fact, I was saying even the MCAs can be scrapped off. You'll be left with the governor and the MP. Even that will manage the wage bill.
Okay. Thank you, Frida.
People are just eating. Thank you, City.
Hi. John in Mombasa. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Good morning.
Salama kabisa.
My first time in Spicy. Now, quick one.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with the increment of any fund to the governors. But the problem is, like in Mombasa, we used to pay parking fee at 100 shillings. Right now, they have increased to 200. Right now, if you go to Congo Air Market, all vehicles that bring food to Mombasa are on strike currently. Because the fees have been hiked. Now I'm asking, how much do we want for the governor? Because when it comes to taxing the common mwananchi, these guys are hitting us hard.
Okay.
When you go to the Senate, they're asking more money again. People, we are dying. Where are we heading to? It is good people asking for the governor's money to increase the funding and doing development there. But which developments are these? All what you are doing ni kusafisha tu mitaa.
Which county?
Mombasa.
Mombasa. So you're saying nothing has been done in Mombasa?
By devolution.
I'm not saying literally nothing has ever been done. But because honestly, I can say that at least miji imekuwa misafi kiasi. But all these taxes, kwani ni za kusafisha mitaa tu, nothing else. Come to hii barabara za kuingia ndani.
So John,
zimejaa potholes, my friend.
No extra money should go to counties. Should extra money be budgeted by the national government?
If there is money that is going to the county government, then stop increasing taxes by 100%, 300%. What is it for? Okay. City, let me ask you. We used to pay 100 shillings for parking fee. Why increase to 200 shillings, 100% over, and you're asking for more money from the Senate? What is the point? There's a communication that is not there between the taxing of the common mwananchi and the Senate. Senate does not know what is going on the ground.
Okay.
Governors are sacking wananchi. The Senate is again asking the government for more money. Why can't we have a conversation? Why can't we have a conversation with governor and Senate and know why are they taxing Kenyans 100%, 200% more than they used to? Where's the money going to?
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Asante.
Samuel in Dagoretti, good morning.
Hi, CT. Hi, Ndu. Hi, Eric.
Good morning, Samuel.
Yeah, it's Samuel from Dagoretti South. Well, what is clear for now is about accountability and not about addition of more revenue. Currently, the county government have been receiving a lot of money for now 10 years. And it is true that we cannot account much done from the counties than done from the CDF. What they have done is building of offices, refurbishment, county headquarters, and vehicles, no maintenance for their own. So we should ask for more accountability for them. As the previous people had just said, that we did not devolve governance, we devolved corruption. Whatever it is being eaten in the national government, it is also done, reciprocated in the county government.
So we should concentrate it in one place.
Yeah. So I'm not fighting about devolution. Devolution was a very good idea. But we devolved ethnicity, we devolved counties according to our tribes. Then after that, we devolved, now those personnel who are in there, they are those people who knows others. You see? So even for doing their own work, they don't do well because they do it and then they know they have somebody to defend them, because the one to defend them is their uncles, aunties, relatives from that office. So they just eat money. So we should be looking about more about accountability and not more about addition of more revenue, because it will not go anywhere.
Can those two not happen at the same time?
Not in Kenya. Only in the West, or maybe in those East countries, but not in Kenya, not in Africa.
So, thank you, Samuel. Evans in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Morning.
This is Evans from Nairobi.
Yes,
now,
Evans.
Eric, we are in trouble. Like, as in Nairobi, we are in a serious problem, and nobody is going to save us. Everywhere it's tax, and then there is not anything they are doing anywhere again. The city is in a mess. The Senate seems not to be understanding what they are doing. The MPs are not even operating. They're like some statue there. I don't know what is really happening with our people. Look at Sakaja. He had big promises, very, very big promises. And then he started this nonsense of feeding its program in schools. Where is he even getting the money from? Yet we pay taxes from parking alone. Sakaja collects millions, billions of shillings. Then what do they do with it? His people eat that money left, right, and center.
As you have said, he's feeding children.
Look at now what... Sorry?
As you have said, he's feeding children.
Oh, feeding children with rice and beans.
Yeah.
And then
pizza.
It's not sustainable at the end of the day. What you need to do with those taxes is not feeding children. That is not sustainable.
Okay.
The schools where the children are being fed are in dilapidated conditions, all of them, and is building kitchens. So at the end of the day,
it's the job of the national.
Really
so we should also be asking Kimani Ichung'wah and then Denyoro at the national level and President Ruto, Why are the schools in dilapidated conditions? Because that's the job of the national government.
Not the job of the county government.
Eric, I'm very sure beyond reasonable doubt, the moment you want to start engaging people like Ndindi Nyoro and Imani Chugwa about development in this country, then you are even wasting your time. Because these people, imagine what they told us last. Nothing is happening. Instead, what they told us last was a total rubbish from the word go. Some of us imagine those things can happen in Kenya. They're not happening. Right now, these guys they are introducing some very erroneous taxes that they want motor vehicle owners to pay some amount of money. Now, they want to tax everything. Yet they're doing everything. They give those, once they collect taxes, they give their lieutenants on the ground to buy unga and such like stuff. I see those things happening in Nyanza and I'm like, are you people serious?
Thank you, Evans. Let me pick other callers as well. Paul Ingong, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Eric. Hi, how are you?
Very well.
Say hi to Ndu and City. But now, Eric, just
hello, Ndu and City.
Yes, hello. Just as a layman, can somebody kindly make me understand how county government works? In the sense that, because now, besides the money that they want from the national government, which is billions of money, what happens to the taxes that they collect? Do they also bring them back to the national government, or this is their own, and then the national government is supposed to add themselves much more money on top? Or how does it really work? Because maybe we don't understand.
It is not the national government giving them money. It is the taxpayers' money.
No, it's the taxpayers' money that
now
they get to the national government.
The law requires an equitable share between the two levels of government.
Yes.
So some money goes to the national level for functions of the national government.
Yes.
And some money goes to counties for functions of counties, including agriculture.
Yeah. And then what happens to the tax that the county government collects? Because who is accountable for them? Who even does their books?
It's called on-source revenue, which is audited by the Auditor General, which is also not sent into an account. And to withdraw from that account, you need to get the control of budgets approval.
Because according to me, Eric, it's not a matter of the revenue that they're getting from the national government. It's a question of accountability.
I see.
Because honestly, most of us all of us, maybe people in business, you get double tax because now the county government comes tax still, and the national government still comes tax at the same time. But we really don't understand. I don't know, maybe the county government is just trying to be a bit selfish.
So the issue is accountability here.
There is accountability. It's not, I don't think it's about the money. Because if it's money, for example, the Nairobi County, they get a lot of revenue from the citizen.
Yeah.
At this case, it's just accountability.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Anthony, Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, and Eric, Undu, and Fitimuga.
Good morning.
Morning to you.
Yeah, I have a problem because the biggest problem I have for now is for a daily listener for Situation Room. And I think we've been complaining all through the issue of the Auditor General reports of the county government.
Yep.
Yeah.
The biggest concern has been the Auditor General cannot be able even to have some evidences on some of the expenditures that have been happening at the county government.
On both levels.
We have seen some county government paying pence for 10 bob than they are being paying 2,000. And these are the issues that have been raised. I listen to the administration room on daily basis, and these issues have been coming all through. Now my question is, if you cannot be able to guarantee and explain the little that you have, how can you be able to be in a position to explain more if you are given more from the national government?
Sure.
The previous callers have also raised a biggest issue that we have raised, I think, in the situation for long, about the revenues that are being generated at the county level. One, they are not clear. Two, they cannot be able to be explained to the projects or the operational expenditures that have been allocated to. And there are a lot of issues. So my biggest concern is county government is a good thing.
Okay.
Some counties are doing better. I think the other day we talked about Nyeri County being the best in terms of paying their services to the service providers. So I think we need to have a good practice where good countries are able to be able to have like a confidence and be able to show what other countries are doing. I think for me, what is lacking a bit is that there is a haphazard way of doing this county government thing.
Sawa. Thank you, Anthony. Nicholas Ngong.
Yes, yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, yes. Now, I wanted to contribute on this issue of more money going to the county government.
Okay.
Personally, I don't think that there is a problem with money being taken to the county government.
Mm.
But my problem is, even when we look at the national government, neither of the two is properly working the way they are supposed to be working. Because if, for example, we look at what has been happening of late, the issue of flood, displacement of people, and all that, we've seen that there is money that was set for disaster mitigation and all that. But when you look at the things that are happening on the ground, I don't think that we can feel the effect of all this money that was set aside, because as we speak today, we have people, displaced people, who are still being hosted in primary schools that are supposed to be opening. And the schools cannot open because we still have IDPs in their compound. Now, when you look at the same thing, we have the county government, they have an allocation for the same. So whether we increase the money or not, the issue we are supposed to be addressing is, are the county governments working the way they are supposed to work? Is the national government working the way it's supposed to work?
Very good questions. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you very much. Let's hear from others. Kerry in Kileleshwa. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you once again for giving us this platform to actually interact. I think the dispute is not even based on what we would call national interest or the interest of the people. There is parochial and self-interest in all this, because the National Assembly, in refusing to at least allow counties to get some more money, are more interested in money being retained in Nairobi, and also fighting to have more money in their illegal CDF, because the CDF, an elected leader should not control funds, and they're here busy controlling CDF. And that is why I think we need to do, as Kenyans, an audit of this structure called devolved government. Do we really need to elect leaders at county level, or we elect parties and the parties elect people who then run these counties like it happens in South Africa?
What difference would it make?
Sorry?
What difference would it make?
The difference would be that the parties would be accountable for whatever development that happens does not happen in the county. Because when you elect an individual, this individual is interested in recouping the money used to get into office and the money that he needs for the next election. That is why you see most counties are complaining about lack of development. And it's true. So I've visited most of these counties in Kenya. Some of them you can, for example, my own Vihiga County, honestly speaking, you cannot believe there's devolution even when you approach the governor's office. The governor's office is like a free market in Gikomba, because it is unkept. They look like they don't even employ anyone to do anything, but people get paid. Our recurrent expenditures is one of the largest in the counties. Our own source revenue is even despicable. We at times when I look at their accounts from the Auditor General, I think they don't even deserve to be called accounting. But when we talk about the fund, I think the Senate on this, the Senate are right. The monies need to go to where functions are, because right now there are so many functions that the counties have been given, but there's no money.
Okay.
And when they give money, it should not be on account of that people will loot. Let those who loot those monies be taken to court. Thank you, Eric. Let me give space to others.
Asante sana. Thank you very much for all those calls. But devolution is under threat, for real. So what is the issue here? Is the issue that that people have looked at what devolution has done and they're feeling...
They've looked at the money that has been allocated. billions that those regions had never seen since God knows when. It's just money that had never, in the money it has come, it has never been seen.
Okay.
Then you look at the projects.
Right.
And you do the little maths that you understand 1 + 1.
Yeah.
And you're saying, Chief.
The kind of money that we've seen dropped here should equal to something colossal.
So the issue is accountability.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then we should also then have that conversation. If this money was available before devolution and it was not coming, where was it going?
This is a good question.
Is that not the pertinent question?
And then if we now take away from this devolution and devolved units, where are we taking it to?
Or back to, if it's going to go back to somewhere.
Yeah.
But Eric, even as we close, when you have a country where people are wealthy and yet they own no businesses, people are multi-millionaire and billionaires and they don't own any industry that you can see, I think the answer to your question is not very difficult to figure out.
Okay. Hiya. See you tomorrow. Ndu, will you be here tomorrow?
No, please.
Yes, can you be consistent? Consistency is a good thing.
Be consistent in being away.
Okay. Enjoy your day off tomorrow then.
Thank you.
Have a lovely day, people. It's 10 a.m. See you tomorrow.